Hey everyone, you are watching the first episode of the Ash and Bat Show. I'm Ash, and
I'm
this is
bad.
Bats. Oh, we didn't have that coordinated. Hey guys, thank you for everyone that is showing up. It's hard getting something off the ground when you don't have a history to bring viewers to you. Um, so it's just the growing pains. I appreciate everyone. You guys have been helpful in our practice runs and doing different things. And this is our inaugural uh, episode. What do you got to say, Bats?
I'm happy to be here. Big shout out to 29 Comic Quirks and Melissa for just just being here literally like every stream that you and I have done.
Hey, don't forget about Tehillim 29.
I said 29.
Oh, I thought you said, okay, I didn't hear.
Yeah, 29 Quirks and Melissa.
All right. Hey, yeah, you guys,
I'm
you're,
just I'm calling Comic Quirks CQ to Hillam 29 just 29. Everyone's the original trinity of the fans of this show get nicknames. 29
nice.
CQ and Melissa.
Hey, what do you think of my little new avatar here that I got popped up on the screen? It's temporary still, but, I was messing around. What do you think?
I like it.
I think it's kind of gay. No, I like it too. All right.
Would be cool is if you can get an image of like turn the army of darkness. You know how he's standing on a mountain? It should be like a mountain of white long boxes.
All right. Hey, I'll get Ethan right on that.
Well, yeah. Graham Nolan does commissions for $1,200.
Oh, that's it? Jeez.
Dude, he's co-creator of Bane.
Oh, okay. Co-creator of Bane. So, what's been going on with you, Bats? What did you do today? Did you do something special?
I did. I went to work. I'm
That
just
was
kidding. I just I just came out of Dragon Ball Super Broly, and it was so dope. So dope. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, it is a must-see, must-own. Put it in your collection. It's like I'm still pumped from it. I'm still thinking about it. I'm like, man, I think I had a seizure, but it was totally worth it.
Now, I'm not a Dragon Ball fan, and I know Dragon Ball's not comics, but it's manga or manga for you elitists out there. So this we're close enough related. I think we can talk about manga, in a small percentage. Sell me on why I should be interested in Dragon Ball.
All right, so Dragon Ball falls under the category of shonen, which basically means like boy action, action for boys. Your My Hero Academia falls under this category. Your Dragon Ball Z, and so on and so forth falls under this category. Naruto falls under this category. One Piece, what else? Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, all those like spiky haired fighting action packed and oh, we're gonna have a tournament in the second season, all fall under this category. And if you are a fan of shonen and you're not into Dragon Ball, well, you're really missing like the top dog.
Well, so I'm not a fan of those type of mangas or animes typically, which is the reason I kind of avoided it. What makes this the exception to the rule that maybe I should like it even if that's not my normal style?
Um, I think if you're looking to like not because generally speaking, when people talk about Dragon Ball, they talk about Dragon Ball Z. But see, I look at it as encompass of an entire series. Like, I don't ever, I just call it Dragon Ball, and that's because the original series is Dragon Ball, and it takes place with a young boy who's pure of heart, and he is just taking care of himself. He meets this girl who is on an adventure to find these mystical items, and he happens to own one of them. and she kind of cons him into this adventure to help her find him because he's super strong and she's a girl and needs a bodyguard essentially. And so the first series is about young Goku and he going on an adventure across the world and meeting the cast of Dragon Ball, which then our second season, guess what, has a tournament. So like when I got into My Hero Academia a couple years ago, or when it first like kind of came out in Crunchyroll, I was watching it in Japanese, and when I got to the second season, they're like, "We're having a tournament." I'm like, "Of course you are. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have a tournament in the second season?" So yeah, here, let me look at. So I'm looking here on the screen here. Oh yeah, that makes me happy. So Super Dragon Ball Broly is like so. So if you're a comic book fan too, you can really appreciate how much okay, so My Hero Academia has that real Western influence on it, right? Dragon Ball kind of paved the way for shows like Naruto and My Hero Academia, because Goku on the screen here, the character on the left, he was sent to Earth from a dying planet. That's why the whole, who would win, Goku or Superman argument always gets brought up, because Goku's essentially Japanese Superman. But Goku has one simple, like his character is, I just want to fight because it's fun. That's it. And which kind of gets him into these crazy adventures, because he'll kind of antagonize the craziest, most powerful, evilest villain because they're so strong. And he's like, hey, let's have fun and punch each other. And there's like, I'll kill you. And he's like, well, that's unnecessary, but let's do this. And so Goku's just so lighthearted and it's fun. Where you look at the other character, Vegeta, he's literally the polar opposite. Where he wants to be the strongest, where Goku is like, hey, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. But I got to get stronger to fight stronger people. Where Vegeta is more like, I want to be the strongest and no one can beat me. So it is a very niche thing. Like, there is a lot of filler. So if you were to get into the series, I would say for new people, if you didn't grow up with it, watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is essentially the condensed version, where they turn 291 episodes into like 150. They cut out the filler and make the charging up bits much shorter.
This seems like a big investment, and you haven't sold me, but
yeah, it is a big investment. I would just say check out Dragon Ball. Like, watch the.
That's old school.
Yeah, if you like Robotech and stuff. So if you're into that 80s style animation, I would say check out.
Well, I don't know if I'm into the 80s style animation. Like we were talking behind the scenes here. That's all we had, Like I look at Robotech today, and I still have a fondness of Robotech. It's nostalgia, but it hasn't really aged well from certain standpoints. But back then, when we didn't have, the only thing we had back then, we had Star Blazers. We had that was when I was really young, and then Robotech, and then we had Science Ninja Gatchaman, which is also G-Force. And there might have been something else that I don't recall, but that was it. And Robotech was just the shit because it was like a saga. That was like the first time it was like, oh, it's not just a story that ends like at the end of each episode. It's like this ongoing lineage, and they treated the audience, like not with, even though it's a kid show, like it didn't feel like a kid show. Like they were telling this more sophisticated story. So. Melissa asked if I ever watched Toonami. No, I don't have TV. I am unplugged for several years now.
Well, Toonami was in like '99 to like 2005.
Oh, no.
So Toonami is my generation of. It was the after school anime lineup on Cartoon Network, which was like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon were the two big twos, and then we got like Trigun, we got Cowboy Bebop, we got
Now I
oh,
do
what was
own Cowboy Bebop. So let me give you a little thing. When it comes to, so I've been into anime for a long time. I was talking to Bats behind the scenes, and he was kind of making fun of me because I told him my experience when I was younger. You couldn't just go to like Best Buy and have an anime section. You couldn't tune into Toonami. There wasn't anything on TV. So you wanted good anime. What we did is we had these clubs. And the name of the club that I participated in San Diego was called SCAN. It was like Southern California Anime Network, maybe. I don't remember what it stood for. But we met once a month.
Anime nerds.
The anime nerds. We met once a month on the campus of SDSU, San Diego State University, and we got a media room, and you sat. It's like a theater, and we watched. It was like from noon to like 6. And different people like organized it, and there was like a lineup. You could show up and come and go whenever you wanted if you're part of the club, and you'd watch anime. And I can distinctly remember like when Akira came out, and it was like, oh my god, this movie Akira. If you haven't seen Akira, and I literally, because we were so starved for anime, like it was like such a big deal to get anime. My first viewing of Akira was in Japanese with no subtitles, like no dub, no sub. It was just watching it in Japanese and trying to piece together what the hell was happening. But we loved, like, that was like how, like, oh, and so today it's like anime is, it's like I make fun of Bats, like, you have it easy, man. You could just go and buy. But one of the reasons I didn't watch Toonami and a lot of the stuff is because I'm kind of an anime snob. And maybe it comes from my history of that, but I like anime when it's like really good. Like I like Cowboy Bebop. I'm a huge Miyazaki fan. That's where my anime frame of mind comes from. Hayao Miyazaki. You tell me, Bats, you know who that is.
I know who that is. I was actually today at work on today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, on Wednesdays, it's kind of like all the guys at my work, and then there's like one girl. And we're all like amped because I went to Dragon Ball with all my coworkers. Well, the good majority of them, and we're all amped. And then the boss was kind of roasting us, and I told the girl, I was like, "Hey, Lil, you're welcome to join us if you want to come like hang out with us." And then the boss was like, "It's like Lil is way more refined than Dragon Ball Z," and I was like, "Yeah, she's probably a Studio Ghibli fan." And then her little girliness perked up. I'm like, see?
Yeah. Well, I am a Studio Ghibli fan, but it's Miyazaki really is what made Ghibli.
When I
let me talk, somebody.
Let me finish.
You're gonna. All right, go ahead.
The Miyazaki films is like, it's anime for girls to me.
Oh my god. All right, guys. This experiment is over. Thanks for tuning in. No, dude, Miyazaki is a god. He's
great. He's great.
Girl anime.
He's the gateway for girls to like anime. Just like Fables is the gateway for girls to like comics or saga.
I would say that Miyazaki is the gateway for normies to like anime
as well. Yeah, and girls are
there's lots of anime that's like targets girls. I mean, that's one of the things I kind of admire the Japanese for, actually, anyways, both in manga and anime. They don't try to pull this whole like it's for everyone. They know their target audience. They're like, this is girl stuff, this is boy, like, and they're not ashamed. It's just
well, where in America anime is targeted towards boys and teenagers and men.
Sure, because in America it's there's a stigma to it, unlike Japan. So in nerd culture, boys the ones that gravitated it, and there's now a lot of women as animes become more and more popular, and it's culture is getting exposed to it. More and more women are getting into it as well. But originally, you're right. I mean, when I went you know, we went to these scan meetings back when I was, you know, like in the 80s. It was easily 90% guys, right? But yeah, I think that the Studio Ghibli films and Miyazaki films, those are the kind of people, like, they're like, people go like they like pinch their, like, you know, like squint up and they're like, ooh, you watch anime, and you're like, okay, we're gonna go watch, you know, Spirited Away or something, you know. Then they're like, oh my god, what did I just watch? And it kind of breaks the boundaries of
Spirited Away is very, it has a similar tone to Wizard of Oz.
Kinda.
It has that similar tone to like Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, where it's like enough things that people like normies recognize, you know, in like storytelling, where they're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm intrigued by this, you know. And
You're
the
right.
art is fantastic; it's beautiful.
All right, we're
So-
way down the rabbit hole on anime here, but real quick, Melissa asked if I watched Sailor Moon. No, that looks completely not my cup of tea. Have I watched Wolf's Rain? As a matter of fact, I have watched it, some of it. It's one of those.
She's asking about Cyborg 009.
Well, I can't read all the chat, buddy. But Wolf's Rain is one I really want to go back and revisit, because I once bought like the first volume DVD just as a gut hunch, and I watched, I think there's like 6 episodes or something on that, and I was like, oh, this is good, and for some reason I didn't follow up on it. I don't know why, but it's been one that's been in the back of my mind to follow up and watch. And if I ever watch Case Closed, I haven't heard of it.
Oh, it's called something else in Japan, but it's basically, it's about a boy. It's about a kid who's like probably 18, 19 years old, and he's a detective, and he's like, the cops come to this young, you know, he's kind of like Sherlock Holmes. He's like young Sherlock Holmes, and the cops come to him to be like, hey, can you help us? And then something happens to him where he gets turned into like a 6-year-old boy. And so he's now not taken seriously.
All right. We can talk more about anime stuff behind the scenes, or maybe in a follow-up. So I don't want to get it down to like an hour of anime talk. So today is New Comic Book Day. I hope everyone is aware of that and you bought new comics. Anything particular you're excited about that you bought today?
Yeah, I actually shamelessly plugging a video here, but the book I was like, ooh, this looks exciting, is that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder in Hell. That was the one that I was like, I saw it in the list of things that was like coming out this week. I was like, Shredder in Hell, that sounds dope. Like Jason in Hell was cool, but Shredder in Hell, like I'm down for something like this. And the first issue was really good, so I was really excited for that one.
Okay.
What else did I get? Let's see.
I can't believe you haven't said my pick.
Hawkman.
But oh, dude, I am excited about Hawkman. Let me tell you what. There's 2 books that came out today that I'm very excited about. Number 1, Detective Comics 996.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't read it yet, but oh my goodness, the first 2 books Tomasi is killing it. I can't emphasize that enough. And then the other one I'm really excited about is Hawkman, because it appears, and tell me if I'm wrong, Bats, because you know a lot more about this and you were educating me. It appears that Hawkman on the A cover is pulling apart his shirt, like Superman style, and exposing the Nightwing costume. But
no, that's the Hawkman of Krypton.
Oh, there's a Hawkman of Krypton. Oh, see, I'm a total DC nub.
But when I did do my pool video, I did talk about, I was like, ooh, I hope there's a cameo of Nightwing in here, because that would make my day. I'm flipping through it right now just to see. Okay, hopefully don't spoil anything. Yep. Okay, he's in there. Yeah, Krypton Nightwing is in there.
All right. Cool. Well, one of the things I was excited is because you educated me about how Nightwing actually comes from this Kryptonian hero, And I was like, okay, that makes way more interesting than just some random name that he came up with. And I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the chat. So when I saw that Hawkman cover, and I was like, man, Bats and I were just talking about this like 2 days ago, and I thought that was the costume. I was like, oh my gosh! And then Carter Hall, I know he's reincarnates, and he's been all these other people. I was like, that'd be so badass if they tied in Carter Hall to this Nightwing. And I was getting real excited when I bought that book. So those are the two things that I got today that I'm really jazzed about.
Quirks is saying, CQ is saying, no Superman #7 spoilers.
Yeah, that was actually, it's funny. That's the actual chat that I got distracted on. I was like, Comics Quirks. I was like, should I comment? No, I'm going to finish what I was saying. Don't worry, I will not spoil Superman #7. I cannot spoil #7 because I haven't read it yet.
Good.
But I won't talk about it until I review it, and then you can watch my review at your leisure if you choose to. Any other books besides Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Hell?
It was actually a really light week for me when it comes to like new comics. I bought 3 issues of Badger though, so I'm excited to read those.
Dude, I gotta say, that Badger review that you did is like one of my favorite reviews that you've done so far.
Yeah, I actually got a lot of positive responses.
Guys, if I don't know if you guys watch Bat's individual channel or not, you should. He's coming a long way on his channel, and he did a review of Badger. And I thought first, I was just like, wait, they brought back Badger? Because this is like back from the 80s. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. There's like a new Badger comic. And then I was like, oh, okay, wait, this is an old comic he bought. And so I was like, well, I'll just stick and keep watching this video anyway. And it's really, like, it makes me want to go back and collect Badger. Like, you got, your enthusiasm was contagious. I was like, I got to go get these books. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, and what's, like I said in the video, what was really funny is that, because I live in like a smaller town, and we used to have like 2 or 3 comic book stores in here in the 80s and 90s before my time, because I'm originally from LA. And then when I moved here, all the comic book shops come out. So like sometimes every like couple years or so, someone will be like, oh, hey, you're that comic book guy. You like comics, right? I'm like, yeah. And so then like people will literally give me collections, right? And so, and a lot of time it's like stuff that I have no interest in. And so I'll go through this collection and I'll pull out all the things that I want. And then I'll be like, all right, now I have like 3/4 of a short box. I don't know what to do with all this.
Right.
And so I'll just go throw it in a laundromat.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like, because I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
You know what you could also do is donate them to Children's Hospital.
They don't accept that anymore.
What?
Yeah. I was trying to do this a few years ago to donate to Children's Hospital, and they don't take them because they might be like, essentially, like they need to be quarantined.
Oh, I gotcha.
So like
that makes a lot of sense actually, because a lot of kids
really it's too bad because I was watching, I watched your boy Zach like every day, and he always talks about how he sends comics over to his buddy that he doesn't rip up. And I was like, it'd be cool. I'd like to send my books to the troops. That'd be really cool. I'd like to do that. And so I, threw it out on Facebook. I said, hey, anyone know how I can send some comics to the troops? And it's like, they made it really, really complicated where I'm like, this seems like more effort than it's worth. It's like.
Right. Well, here's another thing you can consider if you have one in your area. You may or may not, but is like a veterans hospital.
Yeah.
I don't know if your town, how big enough it is, but if you have a veterans hospital in your area, whatever, like these guys come back from overseas and they're just like in rehab and they're doing whatever, like they're like super bored. So,
I mean,
things like that you can.
I've already mildly docked myself in several videos, but I live in Napa, and we have the Veterans Home of California here, so I'll have to
Yeah,
check that
and
out.
military dudes they love comics.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. The next thing we're talking about here, just to keep things moving along. And I'm just bummed here. I'm looking at Comixology. They don't have Badger. I can't get Badger on.
29 says, are there any local comic shops you to pick up your local comic shop?
There's no local. He's talking about local comics, I think, like a local creator doing some little indie book.
So
I don't actually have that I know of, but I can say I found out one of the creators of Alternus comic, The Wicked and the Righteous, is local to me and actually shops at my LCS. Haven't met him yet, but that's the closest I come.
So 29. If you use Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, he's not so much often on Twitter. When I lived in LA, I was friends with a guy named Javier Hernandez. He does a comic book called El Muerto, the Aztec Zombie, and it's very influenced by The Crow, and also like Mike Allred's Dead Man. So it has, and he's really influenced by Steve Ditko. His art is very 60s, 70s Steve Ditko. So, and he does a lot of other comics. He's really into like Marvel horror comics from the 70s and stuff. So he likes to create like superheroes mixed with horror elements, but with still this like wholesome lightheartedness of Mike Allred influence. So yeah, I'm a big fan of his. He's a good friend of mine. We go back, and so yeah, I always, when people are looking for like real, like when people say indie comics and they're like, oh, Image and Dark Horse, I'm like, that's not indie to me. That's small press. Indie to me is like independently publishing your own comic.
Well, Image can fall in that banner because that's partly like why they exist, is to facilitate someone like you or I can literally make a comic in our garage, and then they assist people through the publishing process. Not everyone that publishes an Image is like Robert Kirkman with his own imprint. It's some people literally are publishing an indie book, and so Image is sort of that hybrid, but I hear what you're saying. Like IDW really shouldn't be considered indie,
Yeah, when they have properties like G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, and they're an official publisher. Like indie is kind of like where the old like Turtles came out of. They're like, we just made our own book and published it in like magazine form. Do you remember the original Turtles? They came out in magazine format.
Yeah.
And it was like newsprint, 2-color, just like cheap upon like the cheapity cheap. But we loved it. We were like, oh, this is amazing. Anyways, real quick here, we're running over, but one of the things I remember about, we were talking about like what you saw at the comic book store, or excited. I did happen to notice this when I was looking at the new rack today, and see if I can pull up an image here to help facilitate. First, I'm going to talk about this. Let's shrink that down. This is the cover of Conan #1. Can you see it? Is it?
No.
Is it not? Nope.
That's fantastic.
We spare no expense, folks. Let's see if I can fix this.
Well, it's funny because someone's CQ in here is talking about how Valiant isn't anymore. So before I was like, oh, I got a lot of good responses out of my Badger review. What also I like is
look at this.
I like Ninjak, so I'm gonna try to do I'm gonna recreate that magic, but with Ninjak.
Okay, that'd be cool. I like Ninjak. So
really quick. Let me just finish my
Oh
thought.
my
Is that
goodness.
I went to go read it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know how to review this, and I don't want to be mean to it because I love Joe Quesada, when he's not being a weirdo. So I'm just gonna read Shredder in Hell now, and we'll see how that goes. But I do like it. It's just there's just so much so much crap going on that it's like very hard for a fun, easy, cohesive story. It's like, this guy's screwing over this guy and this guy's screwing over this guy. It's very espionage. So yeah, I didn't have as fun reading Ninjak #2 as I did Badger #1. So I was like, I'm gonna read something else. So yeah, this Conan cover.
Comics Quirks has asked, do I have anger issues? If so, we need to talk. I don't think I have anger issues. So
He has issues, but not anger issues.
Yes.
He's got Spider-Man issues. He's got Robin issues.
I have a lot of pet peeves, and I'm very opinionated, and I do my best. I really do try to not come off angry,
pet peeves and opinionated people from Comicsgate? No, never.
So anyways, one of my opinions here. Look at this cover of this is the Conan #1 by Marvel. This is the first time I've seen it. I was at the store today, and I was like, oh my god, look at this. This is Conan. That's Conan.
What's wrong with it?
Are you kidding me? What's wrong with that? That is the most soy Conan I have ever seen in my life. That is.
I mean, I'm looking at it on my phone. He does look.
Look at that baby face. Look at this. Yeah.
Did you buy that?
Oh hell no, no.
The other covers are fine.
Yeah, I just saw this. I was like, well, I wouldn't say fine. They're not offensive.
Speaking to this.
Yeah, they're just cheap art. The other ones, but I was like, what? So I just took a snapshot real quick to remind myself I wanted to talk about it. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you've ever seen this before. So Captain Marvel, Life of Captain Marvel, so her trade paperback is out.
Cover?
I've never seen this before where they're now doing alternate covers for trade paperbacks. Is this Yeah, look at this. Captain Marvel. This is the same. This is the same.
Then there's the Joe Q one. Yeah, over to the right, because I saw that at the shop the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I like this cover. Wow!" And then my buddy goes, "Well, Joe Quesada can't screw up anything," and I was like, "Oh shit, it is Joe Quesada." Which then made me want to read Ninjak because he's got that same belt thing going on.
So I hate alternate covers in comic books. It really almost destroyed the industry.
As you collect all the variant covers.
No. I pick one cover and I buy it. Right? I mean, regardless, I got to buy a cover. I just tend to, often with DC, the B covers are a lot better. I don't know why they have this problem of saying, we're going to do the crappy art on the A cover. Not always. Sometimes the A covers look good, but like Detective Comics 996, it came out today. The A cover just looks ugly, and the B covers, wow, And Comics Quirk says he thinks there should only be A and B covers. That is a compromise I'd be willing to accept because it's been so long. I'd be like, all right, I guess but I would just rather just have an A cover. We went 70 years with just, or whatever, with just A covers. Why do we need all these multiple covers for? But anyways, on trade paperbacks, where you're already paying like $20 or whatever for these things, you got to get the A cover, get the B cover. Oh, it's just stupid. Just stupid.
Okay, so do you know anyone who buys all the covers of a book?
Yes. No, not personally, but I go to the store and I see people that I like regulars in the store, who buy. There's a guy who, because I try to get there like a store opening. My store opens at 10:30, and there's a guy who buys, and he literally gets almost a short box every week. Like his pull list, he like literally gets a short box. They sell the boxes. They have a couple like already built. He gets a short box, and he fills it like 2/3 with the comics that he picked up that week. I'm just like, oh my god! And you notice that many comics don't come out, so it's every cover he gets.
Yeah.
And another thing I noticed in the chat, someone said, I'm trying to find it. I lost it in the chat. Someone said that DC's cut down. Oh, Tehillim said it. DC's cut down on it. Not so fast, Tehillim. Batman number 50 had over 100 alternate covers.
That's also like, store exclusives and crap like that.
I care not. The
Yeah.
fact is,
No, I
this
understand.
comic company is publishing them. And I believe, I don't remember the exact number. I want to say it was like 106 or something for the wedding issue, number 50. The non-wedding issue. 100,
Oh my god.
over 100. I was like, retarded. But yes, in general, they're a lot better.
I think I just realized I didn't get Detective Comics. I'm like, was going through my stack of comics. I'm like, where the fuck is Detective? 'Cause I'm gonna
You're
read
such
that
a
after this.
wannabe bat. Like, why is your name Sergeant Bats? You're supposed to be the Batman fan. We're supposed to be
I
able to
know.
count on you.
What happened? I have to go rewatch my. I'm trying to remember my my pull list video, and I don't even think I did it. I don't think it was in there. How did that happen? Well, I'm off work tomorrow early, so I'm getting that. Goodness gracious, my life.
Oh, and before we kick off on our next segment, just have one more picture. So I was in the convenience store today, and I knew I was going to be tired for tonight's stream, so I had to pick up an energy drink. And I don't know about you, Bats. Is there anything that like you have like any like personality quirks? One of my things is I'm a sucker for like new flavor things. Like oh, we got this whatever product if you're into
Mountain Dew White Edition.
Right. Mountain Dew is a great example, and I'm a Mountain Dew fan. So like anytime Mountain Dew's like, here's a new flavor, I'm like sold. But the other one is I'm Doritos. So, let me see if I can get this on screen here. Of course, it needs to be rotated. God, I'm so bad. My phone has this problem where like the rotation feature like locks, and the only way to fix it is like restart the phone, and
So
it's really
Hot
annoying.
Nacho.
So where's the rotation? Oh my god, I'm spare no expense, folks. I apologize. So anyways, so Doritos has this now flaming hot nacho. So I don't know if you're, and look, I had to get Rainbow Unicorn energy drink. So I'm drinking Rainbow Unicorn right now.
What happened somewhere in the zeitgeist of pop culture? Unicorns are everywhere. What is up with that? And most people I see with like unicorn merch are like freaking weird SJW degenerates.
I don't know.
Why?
I think it has to do with what's the term? Arrested Development.
Okay.
Do you know what Arrested Development is?
Yeah, it's a great TV show from Fox.
It's actually owned by Amazon now, but yeah, it's when adults essentially like don't grow up, or they don't develop into an adult, and they maintain a children's mindset. And I believe that's one of the biggest issues with SJWs is that they have Arrested Development, and so they carry childish things into adulthood. But unlike other people, like I think a lot of people, hopefully in our chat and so forth, like we can appreciate comics and say, I liked it one way as a kid, now I like it as an adult different way. I
mean, there's things where I believe, like, with the Arrested Development, where I mean, I look around my room right now, and I'm like anytime I bring like a girl in my room, I'm like, yeah, I know, you're already here. Like, it sounds terrible, but it's like, I got comic book stuff everywhere. I got 12 Rose Tico action figures, like tons of toys and comics and posters. And it's, like I got 25 seasons of Power Rangers. So it's like, I get like liking things that brought you joy when you were younger, and now you're an adult and you could buy all the crap that you didn't have as a kid. But like people are like, remember like remember a few years ago when like everyone was wearing like Pizza Cat t-shirts?
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's unicorns. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like this weird like uh I was watching a video the other day about I think was it you talking about pastels? Someone was talking about pastels and how pastel coloring.
Yeah, the only person I heard talking about it was you, so it must have been someone else you got it from.
Okay, so pastel coloring, like, the light blues and the light pinks, is very feminine.
Oh yeah,
And it's, so it's like, and
like what they did to Thor. Notice every Thor cover, like in the past year, has been
okay.
pastel pinks and purples, and you're just like, why is Thor covered? Like, I'm not even talking about like the Jane Foster Thors.
No, but
that
yeah,
was
no,
that way too. Like, but then when they brought Odin's Son back, it was like, okay, now it's Odin's Son, but we're still keeping that color palette. It looks really out of place.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I kind of feel like people are really, really into like unicorns lately. And I was talking to my roommate about it recently, and he's like, I've never noticed it. And I'm like, just keep it in the back of your head that unicorns are everywhere. And he's like, no, that's not gonna put that. I'm not gonna. And then someone gave me a Christmas gift recently, and it was in like those bags with like the yarn handles or whatever.
Right.
They gave me a Christmas gift in a, and I was like, look, there's a fucking unicorn on here. Like, and he's like, you're overthinking it. I was like, it's everywhere.
It's
man.
funny. Yeah, it's funny too. Like, I talk with normies, and they like this don't get it. They don't see the world through the same lens that we do. And because I'll try to explain. I'll be like, it's like that, and like, no, dude, the same thing. I get the same exact. Oh, you're overthinking it, or like it's like, no, it's there. You just you don't see it because you see through a different lens. Anyways, we're dragging this segment on forever. The reason I brought up the Doritos real quick is, one, just to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm one of these weird, crazy guys that you're just like, oh, there's a new flavor of. I have to have it. But so I was all excited. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna drink this rainbow unicorn drink while I'm on the show. That'll be fun, and I'll get to have these awesome new Doritos. That'll be great, right? And then it dawned on me like about an hour before the show that, oh wait, I'm doing a show where it's the audio medium. I can't just hear me like crunching chips and being like, dealing with it. So I'm like sitting here going, oh, great. So I'm an idiot. Speaking of idiots, what's going on Twitter? Anything that's you want to talk about, or you want me to go first?
Go ahead and go first.
All right. I'll tell you what's going on Twitter. Have you guys heard about this?
I've noticed you've been having some crazy battles lately.
Oh, geez, have I ever? Have you guys heard about this thing called Razorgate?
Yes, did you that?
That's what's going on Twitter. Holy crap! Normally I would keep it comic related, but this is such a big deal. And it really is kind of comic related. Number one, I mean, it's Comicsgate, Razorgate, Gamergate.
It's a culture war thing.
It's a culture war, right? Exactly. And a lot of the SJWs that we're used to dealing with are participating in it anyway. So, and it's just funny that, we're hearing some of the people say some of the same, like the same exact things when they're talking about Razorgate. Like, you can just translate it into comics and it's like the exact same thing. I don't know. I'm finding this very fascinating. What's your take on the whole thing?
Uh, so the other day I was at In and Out with my friends, and I was looking at my phone, and it was just like, you got 5 notifications on YouTube, and it was like, this person's talking about Gillette, this person's talking about Gillette, and I was like, wait, what the hell is going on? And I popped over on Twitter, and it was the same thing, and I was like, wait, hold on. And so my house is full of conservatives, and I was like, hey guys, something about feminist propaganda in a Gillette commercial. And so I propped my phone up against the table, or my drink on the table, and we all like watched this commercial. And my best friend just goes, what's this have to do with shaving?
Right?
I was like, I don't even know. And then we all kind of just watched it, and it was like we get it, bullying is bad, but like, this is stupid.
It's really bad. It's anti-male, and that's what kills me. It's like, you make a product
For men.
for men. I mean, they make women's products too. I mean,
Yeah,
but
Venus.
right,
does
but
that.
but their slogan is the best a man can get. That's Gillette, right?
Well, yeah, that's
So
there's
you have been making for decades this product predominantly for males, and then you decide, we're going to make an ad campaign that shits on men. It's like, what? How do you think? I don't get this. I don't get this at all. Yeah. So that's what's going on for Twitter for me. Other than the usual Gail Simone stuff.
Back and forth. So I'm friends with some comic skaters on Facebook, even some well-known ones. And so I posted the Gillette once. So I posted on my Facebook. I'll read you the comments. It just says, Gillette wants you to grow a beard. That's what I posted. And then I posted a video about the Gillette thing. And then the comic skater goes, it's weird because I just started last Tuesday and I'm ahead of the curve, right? He's saying he's growing a beard. And then another comic skater goes, the marketing is genius. Ad consultant. Yes, queen, I have an idea. I know our product exists to service the bodily grooming of function of men, but hey, let's advertise our razors to fringe demographic feminists that can't grow beards, and it's known not for shaving our armpits or legs and distance of ourselves for men. And then I replied, president of advertisement, Queen Slay, Z-Snap, you are amazing. Right, and we're all just like circle jerking each other and liking our comments and laughing. And then I have this guy who I constantly battle on Facebook. What's really funny is that he knows I'm a comic skater, he knows I'm a Republican, but he always tries to say that I'm like this or that, and I always bring up the fact, hey, me and you met. Like every time like the comic skate thing comes up, he's like, oh, you just want straight white males in comics. I'm like, no, dude. We met at the Latino Comics Expo, and I was the only white guy there. So he goes, I expected this from you. Not surprised in the slightest. And then you go on his page, and he's bitching and moaning about me making fun of razors. So it's just like so silly. I think the Gillette thing is totally anti-man, and it's just stupid. And I've been showing it to normies just to get their perspective. And a lot of them are watching it from that lens, who don't see unicorns everywhere. Or they're going, oh yeah, I think we need, us as men, it's our responsibility to make sure other men are on the right track. And I'm just like, oh, we're all going to hell. We're so screwed. Because I personally don't believe it's my responsibility to police my gender. That's so stupid to me. That doesn't make any logical sense. Like, why would I'm going to categorize 50% of the planet, and then now it's my responsibility to make sure that that 50% of the planet is not being, air quotes, toxic. Where's the line drawn in toxicity?
Right.
Like, my household is like dudes who go to the gym and like talk about, like, my friend who reads, like, I buy Superman for my best friend, and he looks at Superman comics not just from like, oh, this is a cool story, but he goes, oh, he's so ripped, I want to get built like that. Like, he looks at it that way. And we all go to the gym and we all work out and we talk about like muscles and women and like Dragon Ball Z. Like, men my age, we all like Dragon Ball Z because it's just so like masculine. It's like it's buff guys fighting buff guys. That's what it is.
Um. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard anyone
It's not
compare
like
Dragon Ball Z to masculinity, but
no, it really is. Like, people, there was like, if you watch Yellow Flash, he did a video about, there was some Twitter beef about, women complaining about Dragon Ball, and it's like, well, it's not for you. Go watch Yuri
well,
on Ice.
that's the idea of the toxic masculinity, right? There's this idea that female is good and male is bad, and that's a problem in our society right now because male and female are both important. And just as it would be stupid to say females are bad and it's only men are right, it's equally as bad to do the reverse. But because feminists and new age feminists particularly believe that that they've been oppressed for so long that it's okay now to be the oppressor. This is something that we see very commonly in culture wars, right? It's like, if you're a black person, well, blacks were slaves a couple hundred years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago.
Wait, what?
No, let's see how far back. I'm not. It's late.
Wait, who was slaves?
Black people.
When? No, that never happened.
Well, anyways, so my point being is, since we have a history in this country of having black slavery, that now it's okay for black people to be disparaging to white people. And it's like, no, just as it was wrong to be disparaging to black people, it's equally wrong to be disparaging to white people. It's called principle. Like, you can't say, oh, I can be disparaging to you because, it's like two wrongs don't make a right. It's like things that we basically learned when we were 6 years old, modern society doesn't have. And like these feminists are like, well, women have been not persecuted, but oppressed for so long, so now it's men's turn. No, you can't say that. You can't come out and say it's okay to oppress us, because then all you're doing is justifying any of the so-called oppression you feel you went through. That men were just as right to oppress you in the beginning, which is not. You have to argue the principle, and you say it's wrong, so therefore it's wrong if I do it too. And yeah.
It's what it really comes down to is that you like Martin Luther King says, you really have to judge people based on their character. And
exactly.
Right. So much that I've been at my job for a little under 2 years, and the first month I worked there, we had a big staff meeting where we all met up and talked about the next few months. And I was getting along with the girl I had mentioned earlier about, she likes Miyazaki. I was getting along with her just fine. And, she found out that my dad's from England, and, she's really into like English culture. She likes this soccer team, and she's really into Doctor Who and English cuisine and stuff. So we got along just fine. We could converse and stuff about like Doctor Who and football teams essentially. And then we all showed up to the staff meeting in our street clothes, and she had a shirt that said "Feminist, get used to strong women," right? And I was like, oh my goodness, like, I've been myself this entire time. around this girl. Like I haven't said anything, you know, that I'm aware of that would offend her. But for a while after I seen her wearing that shirt, like it kind of like I was like, oh, I gotta distance myself from this person because I don't want to end up like having a back and forth at work. Like we gotta get along and work like 8 hours together. And so it's like, but I realized real soon that like she wasn't a lunatic. She wasn't like SJWism. She was just like she's like, I'm a girl and I think strong women is cool. And like she's on this wagon that she's not involved in any culture war. She just thinks it's cool. Right. So we can agree to disagree. And what's really what I really appreciate is that she knows my politics, she knows my culture, opinions, and she doesn't like come down on me like a crazy person. Like when they announced the new doctor, like I was like, I have to ask her. I have to ask her. I'm like, hey, what do you think of the new doctor? She's like, I think it's good, but I already know that you're upset about it. I was like, it's like I'm not upset. I just want it to be good. If it's good, then awesome. If it's not, it sucks.
Yeah, thank you for that long, long ass monologue right now, because I was able to eat some of those chips.
Perfect. You just killed your mic.
Yeah,
How are they? Were they
they're
good?
they're good. They're actually really spicy. I'm shocked. Usually the flaming hot stuff is
Well, you white people think mayonnaise is spicy, so
oh dude, I am Southern California born and bred. I am a spicy king.
oh yeah, I understand.
So um no, usually I get the flaming hot stuff and I laugh and I go, "This isn't flaming hot." Like the Cheetos. They actually have flaming hot Cheetos and then they have like triple X flaming hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
I get the triple X ones and I'm still like, it needs to be hotter. Like. So I was kind of thinking these would be the same way because they already have spicy nachos, Doritos. So I was like,
Yeah.
but these ones have a pretty good heat to them. Hey, let's not go down this freaking rabbit hole forever. We got another segment. We got a behind schedule. This week in comics. So last week you picked up some stuff, and I know you might have done some reviews. But let's pretend no one here saw any of your reviews. Is there anything about last week's comics now? Maybe you have reviewed or you haven't reviewed. You want to talk about?
Sure. Let's see. Let me just go jump to my channel real quick so I
Oh
can.
my goodness, you're supposed to be prepared. Sorry, guys.
Uh, okay, yeah. I did a review on it and 6 days ago, and it's literally like my least viewed video, and I'm like, no, this book is so good. Everyone needs to be on this book with me. They really do. Um, so my friend who owns the shop, he he told me one day, he's like, hey, you know what comic was worth every penny? I'm like, what's that? He's like, Project Superpowers. I'm like, the hell is that?
Oh yeah, I wanted to hear more about this. Go ahead.
So Project Superpowers, they did a promo issue for 10 cents, right? So him as a retailer, he paid 5 cents for a comic. And those books, as a retailer, you're like, oh, they're only 5 cents. I'm gonna buy fucking 100 of them, right? He learned his lesson over the years, so he spent $1 and got like 20 comics. But so Project Superpowers is Golden Age heroes that are now owned, the license that are owned. Dynamite owns their license, kind of put them in their own universe. They've owned the property for a few years, but so like there's like these back issues and trades that I can go back and get, but I'm just like, nah, I don't I'm enjoying the book as is. That I I'm enjoying being like fresh, like. And so Project Superpowers is about, there's this alien invasion, and these heroes from the 40s are now in 2018/19. Um, and there's a character named the American Spirit, which is kind of like, you know how the Spectre looks in DC Comics? He's like a big floating cape and hood,
Right?
right? Well, think of that as American flag. And I was like, this is sweet, right? So he's this like sentient flag who put like uh basically like symbiotes with someone, and when they like have a host, they become like essentially like the most powerful being on earth. And they the American Spirit has found a new host in these Project Superpowers, which is kind of like, you know, their equivalency of a Justice League or Avengers and stuff. And they're trying to protect the American Spirit while this alien invasion's coming. And it's like really simple, classic comic tropes told through really well written story and dialogue with really dope art. Like it is so good.
Who does
So the writer is
no, the publisher.
Dynamite.
See, Dynamite's always looked really bad to me. That's why I kind of avoided these. But you're saying that the writing and the art's actually good, huh?
Yeah, like you can go watch my review. It's the thumbnail says the 90s are back, because when I read it, it's like it reminds me of like 90s DC, like 90s Justice League, where it's not that, you know, pouches, Rob Liefeld, you know, massive guns thing, but it reminds me of like 90s DC, where it's like I promise you it's so good. Like if they have it on the shelves, just get that 10-cent issue.
Yeah, my comic book store is really weird. So I have the comic store that I go to in San Diego is it's called Comics and Stuff, and they got like 8 locations throughout the San Diego area, right? So I go to one of the locations, and so they're the biggest comic book store in San Diego. They're the only one I think that has multiple locations, and the one I go to is one of the big locations. So they have lots of stock, lots of back issues, but for whatever reason, they won't risk like some of these smaller comics. So I miss out on things like that 10-cent issue or whatever. Like they won't do that stuff. You have to like special order it, and I'm just like, it's frustrating because on one hand I understand their position. Like hundreds of comics come out every month,
And the industry's really weird.
Well, right. Well, so we have like over 300 comics come out every month, and some just don't sell, and it's very easy. Like if you only sell 4 issues, it's very easy, you know, to just overstock and buy too much and lose money. Like so I get it, but on the other hand, as a fan, it really sucks because I don't want to have to go to online and do all this research just so I can figure out what books are coming out. So for me, my pull list, last week it wasn't not very interesting. Unexpected number 8 came out. I did a review on it, and that's the only thing I got really excited about, except for a lot of Alterna books came out. But I missed one because they don't carry any Alterna unless you order them. And for whatever reason, I didn't know about the new Scrimshaw series, number 1, so I didn't order it. The other ones are already on my pull list. So I was like, oh yeah. So now I have to go find last week. And I didn't think about this week, so now I'm 2 weeks behind. And it's such a low print run, trying to find these books. It's like a pain in the ass. It's like,
Hey, so really quick, sorry to interrupt, but if you type just projects into Comixology, that 10-cent issue is free on Comixology.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm actually on Comixology right now, as a matter of fact. You can see. And I will add it to my cart. Booyah. There it is. I was actually looking to pull up so people could just sort of see what the art and stuff look like.
The screen here is...
I like this. I like this cover of number 1. It's popping
Yeah.
up now.
See the character in the background. That is the original Daredevil. Right? He's got this red and blue half costume, and then it breaks up in the trunks. So it's like his pants and his tunic and his cowl are like red and blue, and then his trunks are reversed. Right? So it breaks it up.
Uh-huh.
And then he's got like a big spiked belt.
Wow, this internal art is holy balls. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, man. Like, this is a book I feel like everyone needs to be on, and it's like, that first issue was 10 cents. It's a half issue. It's only like 10, 15 pages long.
oh, my pull list is so full right now. This is impressive.
The issues are on Comixology for $1.79.
Yeah, I like, if I'm collecting a comic, I kind of want the physical.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I got the one of the first pages up right now, and it's
Yeah, I'm looking at it. That's the American spirit that I'm talking about.
But this is like much better than typical Marvel quality, and I do not expect that from a small time publisher like Dynamite.
And you know what's real? Okay, so a lot of people are just kind of, it's just another comic on the shelf for most people, right? And I had tweeted my video for, the 90s are back. Hashtag Comicsgate, hashtag Move the Needle. And I even tagged the creators. Both of the creators, the writer and artist, liked my tweet. Just saying, I know it's like very, very like, whatever. They liked your tweet. You tagged them in it.
No, that's a big deal. A lot of creators will
That's
not.
a big deal. That's a big
Well,
deal.
especially because you put Move the Needle in it, right? Like a lot of creators, once you do that, they're like, "Oh, this is Comicsgate. Avoid. Don't want to be flagged by the SJW police as possibly a sympathizer of the enemy."
Yeah. And so I was like,
and look at this. Like, look at this. Like, it might be a delay on the screen here. You got
a very attractive girl walking down the street.
No, you got a hand on her ass.
No, yeah. Like the first issue when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is.
That is not allowed in modern SJW. That's.
No, but
she is not an object.
And then the scene comes around and she does,
Well, sure. I mean, it's not appropriate to do that. What I'm saying is that's not appropriate to even draw in a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, yes, obviously this is not a way a man should behave in public. But it's okay to write stories where bad people do bad things, and we have story, like what I hate about the SJW invasion is like we can't even have criminals being criminals anymore. Like we can't have people being bad because it's that's offensive to me to see that. So we get this like homogenized nonsense, and what happens is we get comics that we can't even have bad guys anymore, and the villains that we're used to somehow become like weird twisted variations of heroes. And it's really bizarre. I don't know if anyone watched my review of Harley Quinn 56. Holy cow, if you are a person that's not happy with what SJW is doing in comics right now, you need to see this review. It is basically a comic that is an allegory about Comicsgate, but they replaced Comicsgate with, they used pet shop owners in place of Comicsgate. And it's, of course, it's these pet shop owners only want to sell pets to men. And, like it's all the tropes that SJWs accuse us of, but they just swapped it to be like, oh, pet shop owners. But the heroes of the story, it's Harley Quinn. And it's like, when Catwoman makes an appearance. And it's like, and also this other guy that is part of this thing is this notorious like cat burglar guy. So it's like all these criminals are idolized in the book. They're glorified. You know, and Harley Quinn's like a murderer. But what's really bad is a business owner wanting to sell pets to men. Now, I don't agree with that. That's probably not what you should do, but that's just tasteless, right? That's just like, yeah, you're kind of a chauvinist. What's really bad is, yeah, you murder people. But we're going to ignore that because, God, these other guys are selling pets. Like, it's the most atrocious story, cover to cover. I did a 45-minute review on it, and I know many people are like, oh, I'm not going to watch that. But it's because I literally, read the whole book. Because it's chock full of SJW lies and this propaganda. It is unabashedly, ridiculous. And it's coming out of DC, which I feel really bad because I usually support DC. I expect this out of Marvel, but this is even worse than what Marvel's doing. I was like, who let this book go out?
I had a conversation. It wasn't really a conversation, but more of an argument in the comic book shop last week, because I was talking, because I'm really close with the owner, right? You know, I've worked in a store, and we're friends. We've gone to concerts and movies, and we hang out essentially. But a customer, he interjected himself into a conversation, and my friend who owns the shop, he's on the side of, I want to make money selling comics. So if you crazy comic gators want some freaking, Trump's Titans, or you want some crazy shit called, White Widow, or some, anything that I can get through Diamond and you guys want, I will get it for you. You want Black Ops? I'll get you, Black Ops. I will get you the Black Ops. I'll get you the My Hero Macadamia, whatever the crap you want. And the same thing applies to the SJW comics. He is on the side of, I'm a retailer. My comic book collecting customers want a certain comic. I will get them their certain comic. I don't care what it is. I'm in the business of making money. And so we were talking. I was like, "Hey man, have you heard about the Harley Quinn number 56?" And he said, and so he has a lot of speculator crowd in his store, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I know a lot of people want. I know people want to want the variant cover because it's going for $30 on eBay right now." And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I got him back here behind the counter. So if one of the speculator guys comes back here and asks me about it, I'll sell him one, but I'm not going to sell him all of them, because he's also very loyal to his regulars and the people in the shop. He doesn't believe in, someone coming in and being able to just take the entire stack Wednesday morning and be like, "All right, cool, I want all these Spider-Man comics." And he's like, "No, you can have one of each cover. You can't have all of them. I know they're all going for $30-$40 on eBay. No, you can't have them all for $3.99.
Well, that's good that he even sells them for $3.99, because a lot of comic book stores these days, would just be selling them for $30, whatever.
No, yeah, he knows that it's a thing, but he wants the people who come in to buy a comic to be able to come in and buy a comic.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he's like straight down the middle. He's like, Comicsgate is a thing, anti-Comicsgate is a thing, speculator is a thing. I'm here to sell comics, but I'm not trying to screw anyone out of anything, because I want to be the mutual store all around, And so I was like, "Hey man, you heard about this Harley Quinn 56? It's this anti-Comicsgate propaganda." And he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I flipped through it and I showed him a couple of panels, where it's it said MRA, and this guy's like, "Oh, what's MRA?" And I was like, it means secretly, I forgot what it says in the book.
Male rights activist.
Yeah, but I was like, it means male rights activist. And he starts going on about anti, and I was like, you're a man. I don't see why you should be against this. And then And he's like, oh, well, Harley Quinn is the character, and they can do this in. And I was like, she's not female Deadpool. And he goes, well, yeah, she is. And I was like, no, she's not. She's not that character. She is a sad / comedy. She's a tragedy and comedy character. And I tried to explain the character to this guy, and he just kept yelling over me. And I was like, all right, I'm done talking to you, man. And he just kept yelling at me, and I was just like, really, what it comes down to is bad editing. That there's not consistency.
Oh yeah, this Harley Quinn issue is just, there's no editing. You look at that issue and go, no real editor, no editor with integrity should have let that comic go out the door. It is so ridiculous. It is straight up attack on fans. And it's Harley Quinn is so, she's not even like the wannabe Deadpool version of Harley Quinn. I mean, she's just so completely out of character in this. Like, she's like a do-gooder. It makes no sense.
I've read probably 10 issues of this Rebirth, where, I've read 10 issues between 1 to 56. There's been some stories that were I just kind of were like, these are totally out of continuity, but it's fun and goofy and stupid. So it's entertaining. Like, there was this one where, like, Penguin has a giant, like, robot penguin, and they're fighting kaiju monsters. And you know my thing on that, like, where, I'm a big Power Rangers fan and stuff. So, like, giant robots fighting monsters, I'm cool with, and so, like, and then there's, like, a character in that series called Red Tool, like, hint, Deadpool. So he looks like Deadpool, but he's got, like, a hammer and nail and screwdriver, and he's got, like, a utility belt and too many patches of tools and stuff in him. And so, like, there's been some stuff where I'm like, oh, look at this, it's stupid, goofy, and kind of trolly. I like it. And then I haven't read 56, but I bought it and I'm gonna read it.
Oh my God, you're in for a ride. Hey, real quick, Rookie Critic, shout out. Thank you for swinging by. I'm not sure how long you're able to stop in for. You said you're just popping in, but I appreciate you coming by. Means a lot. Also,
says, hell yeah, Power Rangers.
Yeah. And Melissa was talking about Avatar, so I had to put up the Avatar on the screen. I'm a huge Avatar fan. I'm not sure about the comic, though. I'm an Avatar fan because I love James Cameron, and the dude is probably the best filmmaker alive. And so he makes magic. It doesn't necessarily mean that some writer-artist team at Dark Horse is going to be able to replicate that magic. So I'm a little iffy. I'm like, oh, I really like the movie, but yeah. Hey, so moving along because we are.
What's your pick of the week?
Mine was my picks is just the Alterna comics.
Okay.
So I kind of lumped them all together here, and I use this tool. If anyone, by the way, I'm going to do a video on this, but leagueofcomicgeeks.com has this web thing. I got it on the screen. They have a web tool. They also have an app for your phone. I use the app, and you can put like your comics that you pull, so you can know like what's coming out every week, and it's real easy, and you can like toggle. Like you can see this is this week's pull, and then I'll toggle it back, and it'll be like last week's pull. And
so you can sign in and create an account.
And you create an account, and then it knows like what you're pulling, and you can configure it to like have like which, if you get A covers or B covers or whatever. And so cool. If you can see on screen right now, this is last week's pull list. So I got Batman 62, Blood Realm 3, Exilium 3, and this helps me too because when I go to the store, when I'm buying my books, I look at the app, and it's like sometimes if they forget something in my pull, I can be like, oh wait, this is supposed to be out this week, which I should have used that this particular week, and I didn't. Otherwise, I would have seen that Scrimshaw should have been there. So it's got different things that it can do. Like I use like for new comics, this is how when I do my pull list videos, how I know how many number ones come out, because I'll go to the new comics section and I'll filter like just Marvel comics. It's actually much easier to do on the app version, but I'll just do just Marvel comics, and I'll scroll through and just like count the number ones, and then that's how I know. It's like, oh, here's Invaders #1. You know, it's a cool app, and you can do reviews on it. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can use it, and I like that there's the app that you can use on your phone, and you can also use the website, and it'll tell you how much you're spending. You can plug in different information. It's like, oh, like this week you're going to spend this many dollars, and you can, if you get a discount at your store, you can plug that in too, so you know. Lots of neat little things about it.
This is far more advanced than the way I go about it.
So, God, you drug me down a rabbit hole. I forget what I was.
So can you while you're in the browser there, type in Fresh Comics.
We're over schedule, buddy. What? Fresh Comic?
Fresh Comics.
I'm not finding anything.
No, I mean like in your actual internet browser.
Fresh Comics, latest release in your pocket. Okay.
This is how I go about it.
Oh,
And
okay.
so,
Nothing wrong with this.
yours is way more advanced. I'm like looking at it on my own.
Well,
Probably
this site is like still under construction, so there's sometimes these features don't work, especially in the app. The web page is much more stable than the app, but the app is getting better, and it's got like user submission stuff, and it's. I don't want to get, like I said, down the rabbit hole on this right now, but I'll do a video maybe explaining it more in detail so people can decide if it's something they want to use and learn more about it, or you can just go to yourself. Like I said, the website is leagueofcomicgeeks.com. And there you go. But moving along, because we're way over schedule, pick a topic. That's the next segment here. Do you have...
We're skipping one. So normally this would be Comic Club, right?
No, let's pick a topic. Man, we're professionals, people. We have this stuff down. We've rehearsed for weeks. Not at all. So this is the pick your own topic section. This gives us a chance for either of us to talk about something that's on their mind, just bring to the show. Did you have something prepared that you wanted to? If you don't, that's fine because we're over schedule. But
no, I didn't have anything prepared, but I do love this comment here in the chat. It says Bats plugs his channel every chance he gets. I guess I will too. Check out Comic Quirks. Hey, yeah, so CQ, I am your second subscriber. And yes, check out Sergeant Bats on YouTube.
Rookie Critic asked if we're going to start a weekly show. That is affirmative. This is episode 1. So if it's all rocky and we're making mistakes and sounding unprofessional, that's why we're working out the kinks. Hopefully we'll get feedback from users to say what we're doing good and what we're doing bad. And each week it'll get tightened up better and better. And that's how it works. Yeah, every Wednesday currently is planned for the show, tentatively scheduled for 10 p.m. Pacific time, and we're shooting for like a 90 to 120 minute time frame for the stream, and we'll see how that works depending on feedback. And let's see, can I do a shout out to your son Jake? Yeah, shout out Jake. If you love my channel, I'm fantastic. I'm glad to have you. Thanks for being a watcher. I love everyone that actually wants to listen to me. That's
awesome.
Flattering. So yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to Jake.
All right, so
you're famous, man.
I'm a huge superstar. EVS has got nothing on me.
What the hell's an EVS?
Exactly. No, I love EVS. So pick your own topic. This is what I want to talk about. Have you heard about this thing called Vader Episode 1?
Ooh, I just watched that today. It was awesome.
It is really good. You guys,
dope.
all you got to do basically on YouTube is type in Vader, and this will pop up.
It'll say like Vader fan film.
Yeah, but if you type in Vader, this will be the first search result. I mean, it's that popular. It has over 700 million views.
700 now?
No, sorry, 7 million views. It's
I was gonna say it says 6 million last time I checked.
yeah, well, it was at 7 million when I watched it tonight, and it's already got like 100,000 extra views since like an hour or two ago. So
Nice.
this thing is only a few days old. I mean, it's not. It's so Star Wars Theory made this video, which you guys can watch. It's only 16 minutes long. It's a fan film. It is pretty good. I mean, for a fan film, it's got really good production values. For a Hollywood film, you're gonna go, okay, but it really is a story that is kind of fills in a little bit of a hole between Episode 3 and Rogue One, explaining kind of Vader's relationship with the Emperor, and it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. But I was really impressed with it. Did you watch it?
I did. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is now in continuity for me.
Yeah, you could. This is one of the things I was appreciated about this video is that, you know, fan films are hit or miss. There's only one other fan film that I really enjoyed, which was the Darth Maul one. Did you ever see that one?
Is that the one where he's like fighting like 6 Jedis or something?
Yeah, he's just whooping ass on everyone.
Yeah, that one was cool.
It doesn't have a whole lot of a story. It's just an excuse to see Darth Maul annihilating Jedi. But this one has more of a story. You do get to see Vader kick some ass, and there's two things that I really liked about this film. That is, number one, is it doesn't conflict at all with the Star Wars canon that it currently exists. They wrote it to fit in, and if you want, if you're like Bats, you can say this is canon to you. Like you can accept it. And also, number two is it serves to sort of explain how Vader came to be, not how he came to be the Emperor's apprentice, but sort of like how that developed. Because I always felt a little bit at Episode 3 that it's like at the end, it's like boom, you're in the armor and you're Vader now, and it was just like the way the movie portrayed it is just like instantaneously like now you're Vader, but realistically there'd be sort of this transition process of Anakin having to become accustomed to this new life and leaving all the Jedi, everything he's known before, and now he's the Dark Lord of the Sith. Like that just would not be an overnight change. And how he gets along with the Emperor, and they don't really get along at first, and that makes sense too. Like, right, you have two evil people, like they're not best of friends. Evil people aren't really friends. That's the whole point of like being evil. So it addresses a lot of that. And then the cliffhanger at the end is just like, oh God, I really want to see that. That is so badass. So there's a controversy on this that, speaking of Ethan Van Sciver, he did a video on this that's going to be much better than I can, where he talks about what happened. And you can actually watch Star Wars Theory himself. He's did a couple follow-up videos to this where he explains the issue. When the short story is that he went to Lucasfilm to get permission to make this video, this fan film. They gave him some like guidelines to say you can't do this, can't do that, blah blah blah. So he's like, all right. He went and did it, and he got his own custom score on the film, everything. And Disney ends up copyright striking him after the film's published. They copyright strike him, and then they monetize it for them, and now Disney's making all the money. Now, when you're having millions of views, that's quite a lot of money. And Star Wars Theory admits that it's like over $80,000 in potential revenue that Disney's collected off this film that he never expected to see. He was never going to monetize it, but the idea that they've basically taken his film and are now profiting on his work, and they copyright striked him. Apparently also claim that they used their legal power to kind of bully him into submission and say, look, if you appeal this copyright strike or fight it in any way, we're going to annihilate you, figure of speech, like crush your channel and just, we'll use our litigation power to put you out of business, essentially. And this guy is a professional. Like, this is what he does for a living. He's got 1.5 million subscribers. This guy's huge. Like, this is what he does for a living. So you could imagine, like, having Disney come to you and saying, we're going to put you out of business. Like, that's be a scary thing on his part.
Yeah, like,
and
actually, they pretty much said they were going to ruin his livelihood.
Right. So now there's more to the story that I'm still researching. So that's where I kind of want to hesitate, because new details, things are coming in all the time. This is a couple days ago. Like, Ethan does a really good video about this, but I kind of agree. My problem with this whole thing is, like, the way it was handled. I really feel like it's a bad stain on Disney's part to be bullying a fan like this, a guy who's willing to put if you watch his Star Wars Theory's explanation, he kind of implies that the film costs somewhere around the area of $80,000 to make. So this guy spent $80,000 that he raised on his own, not through any crowdfunding. It's his money. He put together, hired actors and composers, and did all this stuff. You'll see, like, this is a production, and Disney, like, takes it. And it's like, this is a super fan. This is someone who's really adding to the community. And then you have an issue where Disney is, they're having problems right now with the Star Wars license, right? There's a lot of controversy with
really quick, rookie critic said Disney did not directly strike it. It was the music company that is associated with Disney, but Lucasfilm cleared that. So the strike is not gone.
Okay, sure, and I appreciate that, rookie critic. There's, like I said, I admit there's fresh details that I'm not really familiar in. I'm admitting that now, but the history still is important, because even if Disney comes along and says, "Oops, we made some, reverse stuff," there's a sign of this problem in that, apparently, according to SJW, sorry, I don't know why I said SJW. According to Star Wars Theory's testimony, he got permission from Lucasfilm to do this, and then the strike was made. Whether it was for the music, I do remember that, and they apparently also, like, wrote him a letter saying that he wasn't to contest it, that threatened litigation, which to me it's just very hostile, right? Whether it's the music, whatever division of Disney is coming at him, it's just a really hostile, bad way to approach someone who is a professional fan of Star Wars with 1.5 million subscribers, who just made a film that's now up to 7 million views in just a matter of days. You think that a company who just their last Star Wars film bombed and lost hundreds of millions of dollars, they're facing all sorts of controversy from Last Jedi. They're marketing their licensed material with, like, toys and action figures and stuff is just losing tons of money. You would think that the companies, like, would try to spin this in a positive way to use his fans. I mean, he's got quite a few, to, like, spin goodwill, to kind of put themselves in a light to where because fans want to like Star Wars, right? There's a lot of haters out there, and I personally, I'm about to admit something here. I loved Last Jedi. I am.
Thank you for watching, but this stream is over.
See, right? So I'm definitely not one of the haters out there. I want to like Star Wars, and I think whether or not you agree with me that you like that film, I would say most Star Wars fans are in that position, and a little goodwill can go a long way. So
people are very forgiving, and I believe if Episode 9 fixed the things that I hate, I mean, obviously you're never gonna please everybody, but if you can get the Star Wars gate community back and being like, Episode 9 was awesome.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear, actually. If Disney tries to course correct and appeal to the fans that hated Last Jedi, I fear like they're just going to ruin it all. Like they're going to end up pissing everyone off. And I think that stay true to your vision.
But
That's
see, the problem was is I don't believe there was a vision.
well, you're right. There's lots of problems, and I'm not going to go down. I say this rabbit hole term all the time. I got to think of something synonym to this. Um, I don't want to stay on this forever, but you're right. There's lots of problems with this new trilogy. This particular topic, though, I don't get it. This mindset that doesn't. Ethan puts it a lot better. Go watch Ethan Van Sciver's video. It's like 10 minutes long, and he talks about it, and he puts it all into perspective. That I was like, yep. So that's all I have to say about this. What was your final thought on that?
Before I jump, remember I was talking about how the creators of Project Superpowers
Yep.
liked my tweet and saying how much I liked their book. Well, it just happened again.
Nice.
So I had posted Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder in Hell #1. This comic is dope. Here's my full review. Hashtag TMNT, hashtag IDW, hashtag Move the Needle, hashtag Comicsgate. And the writer, artist, Mateus Santoluco liked my tweet.
All right, good for you, buddy. Hey, Rookie Critic's going to bed. Thank you again for stopping by.
Or lady, if whatever your gender is, I'm sorry I assumed it.
Now you're in for it. Yeah, hope you'll see you again, Rookie. It's always a pleasure. What's your topic that you wanted to talk about?
So, today, I think it was today or yesterday, it kind of slid under the radar in Culture War. I think Gillette kind of is taking the forefront, as well as your Star Wars stuff. We're getting a frickin' sequel to Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
So it's not Ghostbusters, a sequel to Ghostbusters the remake, but Ghostbusters 3.
And did I hear correctly that they're ignoring the recent Ghostbuster film?
Yes. This is Ghostbusters 3.
Well, unfortunately, half the cast is dead. So as excited as I am for Ghostbusters 3...
No, not half. Not half. 1/4 of it. Now, this was the thing. So back... who is it who died? Egon. Egon died in real life, right?
Yeah.
Was it another one who died?
Okay, you're right.
Egon. No, it was Egon. It was
Egon
and Winston are both dead.
Yeah, and
but before that happened, here let me just kind of give.
Well, there's also Rick Moranis doesn't do movies anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But he is and isn't a Ghostbuster. So before.
Yeah, you can do a movie without him, I suppose. But I'm just saying, It's a lot of the cast. It's exciting to me to hear this, but there's that little back of the mind where I'm just like, oh, is that really a good idea though? Like, is it one of those things that's gonna be too little, too late? I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know.
I'm excited, but I also agree that it is a little, too late kind of thing, as well. So back in, when did that movie come out? In 2016, right? 2015, we all kind of heard about this, and in my old podcast, I even talked about this. I said, there's new Ghostbusters coming out. This is, if I was writing the movie, this is how I would do it. And I believe Winston had just died in real life. I'm sorry, I don't know the actor's name. But Winston had died in real life. I said what they should do is that they should, it should be in present time. They're all old men, and now it's just 3 of them, and they're trying to work as a team like they have, but because there's only 3 of them, that they can't keep up, they can't do it, they're getting their butt kicked by ghosts. And so they kind of all have a meeting, and they all decide that they're all going to retire, and they were going to have Venkman essentially like do the, like the big dramatic turning the lights off, but with the big like handle one that goes like, that like shuts the entire power box off.
Right.
It's like, and they should do that. Like have like the first 20 minutes of the movie be this big opening scene of like the three of them just getting their butt kicks by ghosts, and then them having the like we're retiring, and then hit the electricity box where they shut it down, and then we get the title card, Ghostbusters Answer the Call, right? And then jump to the new characters that we're introducing, because the girl with the glasses, she looks like Egon's daughter. She looks like Egon. She's girl Egon, right? So I thought that would be the way that they would make the movie, and it was like, no, it's a complete reboot.
I'm confused now. I feel like you're talking about the all-female Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I'm talking 2015 when they announced this movie. I had envisioned this idea that they're all old men and they're retiring, and now we're gonna have an all-female cast Ghostbusters, right?
Right, right. No, no, no. I get that. Okay. Yeah, I was confused. That's what the film should have been.
Yeah, that's the film that should have existed.
The problem with the female cast Ghostbuster film wasn't that it was a female cast. I think that actually it could have worked. The problem that I think is that it was forced. It was one of those forced diversity issues, right? Like, it wasn't like, hey, we got this great idea and we're going to do this, and the characters being women were just part of the whole story idea. No, it was like, we need to make an all-woman Ghostbuster. Do we have a plot? Do we have anything? Nope. But the priority is this. Now build story around that. And they didn't respect the material. Their priority was social agenda. You know, and it's one of those things I talk about, like with DC and Marvel all the time. It's like, DC did this New Age of Heroes. There's 8 books. Every single one of them was full of diversity. Never once was forced. It was just all natural, and like no one cared, right? You never saw any comic skaters complaining about it. You never saw SJWs buying the books because they don't care, and comic skaters actually don't care about, like,
yeah.
What we care about is stupidity. What we care about is forcing shit down our throat, and that's what Ghostbusters did, and that's like the Ocean's 8. It was like, you make a movie, I don't care if the Ghostbusters are men or women. I just care that it's a good movie. But what they did was like, oh, look, it's exactly like Ghostbusters, but they're women. And look, the other guy, the guy who's the girl is really a guy. Like, you were just gender swapped everything. And they even copied the same characters. It was like, we got one black character, we got one Egon character, like.
Yeah. And it was really, when, so I'm, a little bit younger than you, but, I mean, you were probably too old to be even watching this, and if you were, it's because you're a nerd.
I am a nerd. Well,
I grew up with, I was born in 85, so by the time I was like having conscious thoughts, say 89, 90, I was watching the tail end of the original Ghostbusters series as well as reruns. But it wasn't until I was like 8, 9, or 10, somewhere around there, that we got Extreme Ghostbusters, and I loved that cartoon because it was a sequel to the cartoon I liked when I was younger, and it was an all new cast, and it had the originals, and it had an Asian girl, a guy in a wheelchair at the Burger King Kids Club, but as Ghostbusters, and it was good.
I'll take your word on that. Hey, Melissa says that Ernie Hudson's still alive. That's the Winston character.
Okay.
So we're wrong. So only Egon, which is Harold Ramis, rest in peace. And then we also have Rick Moranis, who's not dead, but he's, from what I understand, he is permanently out of like movies. Like I
don't see him as a Ghostbuster.
Well, he's not a Ghostbuster. He's just part of that cast.
He's like, I'm a Ghostbuster.
No, I don't see him as a Ghostbuster either. I just see him as like kind of an important character in that
Yeah.
whole storyline. Like Sigourney Weaver is like, she's not a Ghostbuster either, but she's kind of important to the whole
She
thing.
has busted some ghosts.
Whatever. What I would do with the Ghostbusters is very similar to what you were saying. What I wanted to see, and I've been wanting this for decades. I've been saying this, like, look, you got the original cast. They're old, right? They're really old now at this point. Ghostbusters was from the 80s. This is really old. I don't really want to see, old school Ghostbuster. Like, I don't want to, but I would like to see them pass off the torch. And I was like,
have you seen the trailer?
no. So
It exists.
really, well, okay, I'll look in that in a minute. But so my idea was like, well, let's think of how they did Ghostbusters back in the day, right? So they like took two of the biggest comedians of the time, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, right? And then got together with actor director Harold Ramis, and then Ernie Hudson, and made this. They added Rick Moranis, big. They pulled big talent, mostly comedy talent, to do this film. And I was like, well, why don't we just take a look at who's the big comedy talent of today, and put them, like, make Ghostbusters characters with these, top talent comedians, and have the old school Ghostbusters sort of like training the new ones, right? And so it can be like the first film could kind of be like a mismatch, but and get the audience used to, like, hey, we got a little bit of the old Ghostbusters, but we got these new guys that we're getting to know and like, and then just pass off that torch, and you just have this franchise.
As long as Seth Rogen's not in it, I'm square.
Okay, yeah, that's the hard part too. Is like, people have very strong opinions about different comedic actors.
I cannot stand Seth Rogen. That's just me.
I like him in the right film.
But the right film is, I'm a fat stoner guy who goes in every movie.
Yeah.
It's who he is.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be written right and pick the right cast, but I don't know. I think the window for Ghostbusters is kind of at an end, and I'm excited for the prospects. I do love Ghostbusters, but I don't know.
What I'd like to see is Extreme Ghostbusters. I mean, obviously change the name, because it's not freaking 1995 anymore. And do that series, because it's the sequel to the cartoon, and the cartoon is the sequel to the original movies. If you watch the first episode of the Ghostbusters cartoon, it's literally like the next day or the end of the second film. The reason the Ghostbusters in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, why they all have color coded, like, their own colored uniforms, is because they're covered in slime. I don't know if you've seen the very
has
first
nothing to do with the fact that kids need help identifying different characters.
No, but they no, absolutely. Like, I had watched it like 2 years ago when they were like, re-releasing Ghostbusters stuff, and I was like, oh, sweet. And so I started buying the DVDs, and I was like, man, this cartoon is amazing. Like, I have fond memories of it, as like a 4, 5, 6-year-old. But watching it as a 30-something-year-old man, I was like, the animation is top notch for the 80s. Like, the story and the writing and the dialogue, everything about it is really good. It has the classic theme. There's like, they really respected the franchise at the then. And it shows. Yeah, obviously, like, like the Ninja Turtles, like, hey, we can't have four turtles wearing red masks. Let's to sell 4 different toys, and
they're supposed to be purple masks.
It's red.
Purple.
Do you want to put $20 on it?
Nope.
It's red. In the original, Kevin Eastman and Laird stuff, it's they all had red masks.
Well, in the first colored editions, or they did purple
Yeah,
by First
I'll
Comics.
take your word for it. But as far as
First Comics did trade paperbacks of the original series that were all black and white, and then they colored them. So that was like a good way back then to like get a hold of those books, which is how I had to read them, because getting a hold, the earliest book I could get is number 7. That was early, and I got a second print of number 1. That's actually pretty cool. But
it's probably worth a little bit, huh?
Nowadays, yeah, it probably is. Back then, it wasn't. I think it was like $10 back in the day. But the second, I mean, even the second print only had a few hundred copies made. Like Turtles was really small print run in the early days. So yeah, so First Comics got rights to reprint them in these big graphic novel formats, and they were colored. So I bought the first 4 volumes, which is the first 16 issues, and they were all colored and stuff, and it was yeah, it was cool.
Melissa says Seth Rogen is a douchebag.
Okay, I don't know him personally, but
CQ says Dark Knight Returns, but Ghostbusters. I like that idea.
Dark Knight Returns, but Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Hey, what have you seen the trailer for the mild soft reboot of Men in Black?
No, I really have no interest. Men in Black is one of those things that wore out its welcome for me. Okay. They were fun. And I'm like, I got a trilogy of Men in Black films, and I'm totally good. Like I feel like a film franchise like that needs to exit at its, when the exit's good, and not just burn it into the ground. That's what I fear. Now, there was a project that got canceled for a while, and I was really on board for this. Did you hear about the Men in Black Jump Street crossover?
I did hear about that.
And I heard about that, and I was like, are you kidding me? They're going to do Jump Street crossover with Men in Black? And then I was like, dude, that is so whack that it just might work. I'll get on board. Like, I don't want to see just more straight up Men in Black, like just beat it into the ground, but this is something new. Like, and they don't really do these type of films. So yeah, I'll encourage this creativity. Throw it out there. I want to see if it works.
I would watch it. Like,
I would totally watch it. And by the way, I have to concede to you. Take your victory lap. You're right. Even the old, this is what it looks like of the first comic. They are red.
I told you, man.
I just conceded you victory. You
did.
You can rub it in my face, I suppose.
I will.
So,
dude, like Turtles. Okay, so I've said this before. I have like 5 favorite franchises. Batman, number 1. Number 2 is Ninja Turtles. Number 3, Power Rangers. Number 4, Dragon Ball. Number 5, Star Wars. Like those, and 5. I only put Star Wars in there because I love the movies.
Dude, the fact that you didn't put Star Wars as number 1 just shows a lot about you.
Hey man, it's not Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker on comics. It's Ash on comics. So don't try to come at me with some crazy nonsense.
Oh. Well, there's a history about Ash, but you'll notice that my handle is Ash1138 for a reason. Yeah, Star Wars is my number 1. I haven't thought it so much out to have a top 5 like you. At one time, I would have put X-Men in there, but Marvel's killed that for me.
Did that pop up for you? Maybe not. Oh, there it is. I sent you something. Maybe you could pop it on screen if you like.
It's coming up. Look at you. You got a turtle tat.
Not just any turtle tat, but the turtle tat.
The turtle tat?
Yes, sir. That is the first image that Kevin Eastman drew and passed to Peter Laird on a couch watching like Magnum PI and said, Ninja Turtle.
Okay, that explains why it looks all weird and different.
Yeah, so if you were to like Google first Ninja Turtle, that should be one of the main images that comes up.
All right. I believe you. We got your tat to do it. Don't want to stick on this too long. Anything else on your topic?
Nope. Yep, Ghostbusters. That was it.
Okay, Ghostbusters. Let's see. I'm looking in the chat for comments. I'm not really seeing much. We have to feedback. I am reading you guys' comments, by the way. I don't comment on everything because we're already like way over time. But I do read it, and when you guys post something that I feel, can address on air, I'll be happy to. Melissa says you have.
I mean, I'm not surprised that we're over time. Like,
oh, I'm not surprised either. But I'm just trying to have some discipline.
Who takes 3 times the amount to review a comic that only took you to read? Like, oh, it took me 15 minutes. I'm gonna review it for 45.
Yeah. You want to poke fun at me some more?
Me and you both have long-winded tangents.
Dude, I want to see. This is what sucks. I'm a Turtles fan, right? And I think the reason why I'm not a bigger Turtles fan is because of the cartoon and the movies and all this stuff. Like, Turtles came out. It was a really huge. Well, it wasn't huge. It was a really popular indie series. Like, back in the 80s, like, it was just like, oh my God, you couldn't find these books. So even people that didn't like the Turtles were trying to get Turtles books because they were skyrocketing in value and all this blah, blah, blah. And I love the Turtles. And then the cartoon came out. And I was like, what the F is this? I did not like it because I am a Turtles purist,
How old were you in 87?
That's actually when I started collecting comics. So I was 13.
Yeah. See, I was 2 in 87. So, like I said, like with, around, 89, 90, when I was 4 or 5, when I started like developing conscious thoughts, essentially.
I'm not okay here. I'm not faulting anyone.
You're not knocking it. I know, but Turtles for me.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
literally the opposite. Like, the cartoon was so awesome for a 4-year-old, as well as the toys and all the.
No. I'm not. I recognize that. What I'm saying though is it's unfortunate. The reason I'm not. I fell in love with the original Turtles, and I was noticing. I read or watched your review of Splinter in Hell or whatever. Not Splinter. Shredder in Hell. And I was like, oh. And then you made some sort of comment in your review about how Splinter's trying to like see the good in Shredder, or something like that, or trying to like bring him back.
It's a trope between all the incarnations of Turtles.
No, that is not. That
it is in the later comics.
Yes, right after the Turtles got mutated. So in the original Turtle series, which is like the first the first dozen or so issues, just for trivia purposes, people that may not know, Splinter is kind of a dick. Like, not a dick, okay? He is just relentless revenge on his mind. That's the whole reason the Turtles get trained by him, is not because he's a Yoda sort of guy who's all good-hearted. It's no. Shredder needs to die, and oh look, I just found these 4 young kids that I can raise as murderous assassins to do my bidding, and I will train them in the ways of the ninja, and so they can assassinate my enemy, because Splinter is this old rat, like, and it's a vicious kind of storyline about revenge. And I like kind of dark, grim storylines, and I was like, this is really freaking cool. And the comic books, of course, change all that, and not the comics, sorry, the cartoons change all that, and then the success of the cartoons swayed the comic books to sort of like mold into that version of the Turtles. And I just feel like, yes, that's good for kids, and yes, it made them millions of dollars, and they're all rich and wealthy, and congratulations, yada yada. Okay, but as a fan, I like this concept. Already I just think they're cooler, but I like the idea that Shredder. Sorry, I keep saying Shredder when I say Splinter. That Splinter is kind of effed up in the head, and it's the Turtles that rescue him. That he's just got nothing but blood on his mind and vengeance, and he's almost like the yang, the yin yang of Shredder. They're both just lifelong enemies, and the Turtles, their youthful, innocence and naivete or whatever, sway Shredder to come back from this darkness that I keep saying Splinter to come back from this darkness that he's fallen into, where he just only cares about revenge. And that's all gone in the modern version of Turtles, where it's just Splinter is just this great saintly, sage character that rescues these turtles and trains them as ninjas because that's a good thing to do. It's like it doesn't even really kind of make sense, but like for kids, are like, yay, they battle, whatever. So that's where they lost me as an audience. So there's always this nostalgia for me to like, I really wish I could get the old school Turtles back, where it was like this vicious, dark storyline. And yeah,
maybe it was one of our trinity of fans here. It was either 29 CQ or Melissa that was saying that we should read the Image Turtles. Did you read that?
I will not read any Turtles unless, like I said, if it goes back to the style that I liked, or if, oh my gosh, dream come true, if they could get Frank Miller to do a Turtle story.
Oh, stop it.
So, piece of trivia, you probably know this because you're a Turtle nuthead, but people in the audience may not know. Do you know Turtles, the whole like formation is an homage to Frank Miller?
I think everyone knows that other than Zach.
Not everyone other than Zach. A lot of people don't necessarily know that. I mean, this was like, what, 35 years ago or whatever, ridiculous,
Did you see in Zach's video, he was talking, there's one of his recent videos talking about Daredevil, and he's like, oh, there's this whole mytho of Turtles of Daredevil that I wasn't aware of. And then someone commented saying, Zach's gonna discover the Ninja Turtles origin in Daredevil.
That's funny. That's really amazing. But Zach is not much of a Miller fan. That's surprising to me. Like,
are you high on drugs? He's worse than you.
No, he's not. Oh my God, no, he didn't. No. The dude gave Batman Year One just an okay review. It's okay. I was like, are you kidding me? That's like one of the greatest comics ever written. And illustrated, by the way. And he's like, yeah, it's all right. Whatever, dude. That is... No, I am a Frank Miller junkie. And the fact that he didn't know that Turtles was a Frank Miller homage.
As well as the turtle, do you know about the font?
I don't know the font.
So the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle font. So if you were to bring up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, you could also bring up Ronin. It's the same font.
Oh, I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah, if you want to bring that up on screen, you see what I'm talking about. So if you were to look up Ronin.
Well, I know what you're talking about. I'm the Frank Miller. I have Ronin. I mean, it's crystal clear, obvious to me now.
Should I read Ronin? I've never read it.
Have you not? Oh, well then yes.
then yes, I should read it.
Well, if you haven't like that, like
The only Frank Miller I've ever read is his Batman stuff.
oh my god, that is so obvious now. I can't believe that is okay, and that makes sense because Ronin is a story about samurai. So if you're telling a story about ninjas and stuff, like this is Frank Miller's samurai tale. Yes, this is a story about a samurai who gets sent to the future, and it's kind of like a cyberpunk future, and he's got this battle with this demon that he's like this enemy with, but he has got this special sword. And yes, it's definitely worth reading. It's also like a period of time where I think Frank Miller's art was the best. See if I can find. Here's like a screen cap. There's a period of time like if everyone knows what Frank Miller's art looks like today, right? It's all like chunky and just kind of deformed. He's got the style that he's had since the days of Sin City, but in the early days, Frank Miller's art was very clean. It was very prototypical comic book Marvel style art. In Ronin is where he kind of was in the middle stages of developing that style before he went to this really chunky, overly stylized form to the, it's kind of that blend before he like really went ape shit, if that makes sense. So yeah, I can't recommend this enough. I mean, everything Frank Miller touches to me is gold. Even his bad stuff is still good. This was during his heyday. This is the book he did after Dark Knight Returns.
I have to check it out.
So I really, especially if you like samurai stuff, like if you're into, that whole feudal, and then I'm surprised you haven't read it already.
It's so Frank Miller for me. I mean, you have to take this with ignorance and a grain of salt all at the same time. So when I first was really like getting into comics, I started around 95 as a 10-year-old. And then it was like a kind of a 3.5-year journey of like collecting sporadically and randomly. And there was a used bookstore in my hometown at the time where I discovered they had like this, like in the sci-fi section, all the way at the bottom right of the shelf was like the trade paperbacks, and it was like comic books in book form. And I was like, oh, what are these? And it was like, before what we call graphic novels now, like, they're still trade paperbacks to me. I still have it to this day. I bought it when I was 12 years old. I have the first printing of Dark Knight Returns, and it's like tore up and read way too many times. And I read it as a 12-year-old, and it was like, this is okay, I guess. This is cool. It's okay. And so like since I was 12, it's always been okay to me. And then I read it at 18 years old, and I was like, yeah, it's just okay. And then I read it again at like 27, and I was like, yeah, it's just okay. Right? Now I'm 33, and I'm like, okay, I keep seeing like the what's it called? Master Race is the place I work. It's right next door to a bookstore. So occasionally I'll walk over there on my 10 or 30-minute break, and I keep seeing that they have like 4 copies of the Master Race. I'm like, I feel like I should buy this. I was like, I've never read the second part.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like,
you need to read Dark Knight too.
So I'm having this like inclination that I want to read the trilogy, essentially the Dark Knight trilogy, the real Dark Knight trilogy. So I'm probably gonna get around to it soon, probably in the next couple of months, because it's like I have this like, because each time I've read Dark Knight Returns, it's gotten better for me, but 12-year-old Sergeant Bats was like, yeah, this is okay. I get.
Well, I mean, it's a very sophisticated book, so I could, yeah, as a 12-year-old, I don't think I would have appreciated it either.
And like the book came out like a year after I was born. So at the time I was like, oh, this book's 11 years old and everyone likes this book. What's up? Why does everyone like this? It's just okay. Batman's an old man. That's okay. That's kind of stupid. you know, like like as a 12-year-old, like I thought it was kind of silly that Batman was an old man because like I grew up in my grandparents' house, so the idea of like my grandpa running around in a bat suit, I'm like, no way, dude. Like 12-year-old me could like beat up my grandpa.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, no, I understand completely. So for anyone, I want to move on from this, but real quick, because I got Frank Miller. I have to say something. But so if you're interested in Frank Miller, obviously everyone knows Batman Year One and Dark Knight Returns. Both of those are fantastic. I feel like Year One is the book to get started on, and then Dark Knight Returns is the book you read once you know something about Batman. I think if you didn't know anything and you read that book, you just wouldn't get as much out of it. It's also a chunkier, denser book. Like Batman Year One is a solid, just adventure origin story about Batman learning to become Batman. Those are the ones everyone knows. Ronin is less known because it's an original story. It's not based on any superhero. It's just a Frank Miller creation, but it's really good. But it's about the same level of reading as Dark Knight Returns. It's very dense, sophisticated story. The books that are lesser known are the Marvel stuff and the Daredevil. He did his Daredevil series over at Marvel, which actually he did first, but specifically a certain 6-issue arc in that series, which is now known as Born Again. You can find that trade paperback all over. That is
as well as Comixology.
It's Comixology, right? Born Again is one of the best. It is the best Daredevil story that's ever been written, and it's one of the best comic stories I've ever read. It is right up there. And then he also did Daredevil Man Without Fear, which essentially is Daredevil.
John Romita Jr. I
John,
love that book.
Yeah, John Romita Jr. did the art, and it's essentially Daredevil Year One. Is the way you can think about it. So if you like Batman Year One and you're like, oh, this is I want to see this type of story done with Daredevil, that's the book to read. Those are the two story arcs. You can also read the Miller books before Born Again that lead up to it. They're fun. You get some really good stuff with like the development of Elektra, which is a Miller creation. And then finally 300 is what he did later. That's a fantastic read. Most people have probably seen the movie, which is
Elektra Lives Again. I have that in hardcover. That's what you're talking about, right?
That's a different book. That was a graphic novel that he did with Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, the old bookstore that I used to frequent. I got that when I was like 15, 16, 14, somewhere around there. And I was like, ooh. And I hadn't read any. I knew of this Daredevil run by Frank Miller. And I bought it just cuz. And I was like, I read it and I was like, this is freaking weird. I was like,
it's really weird. First of all, it's Bill Sienkiewicz art, so it's already you're like, ugh, it's hard to read.
No, this one's just Frank Miller and his wife at the time, Lynn Valerie.
Elektra Lives Again?
Elektra Lives Again, yeah.
Oh, which one am I
Well,
thinking of? He did a book with Bill Sienkiewicz, is another Elektra one.
wow, I have not opened this since probably high school, and believe it or not, but I had literally just found a drawing I did in 2002 of a Gohan from Dragon Ball Z.
So, anyways, total derail here. So yeah, the Elektra. I guess you can. I don't necessarily classify the Elektras. Obviously, if you become a massive Frank Miller fan, read everything
This
he's
is
done. But
beautiful. I'm gonna reread this again.
um, but 300, everyone has probably seen the movie, and it's probably one of the best movie adaptations ever. So if you've seen the movie, you've pretty much read the book, but I would still read the book. And then Sin City. He's got 7 Sin City graphic novels, which are all fantastic.
I love those books.
I love Sin City. And that is the core of Frank Miller. Like, I would not recommend reading other Frank Miller stuff outside of that until you've read those, because some of his other stuff can be more experimental, kind of bizarre, and as he's gotten older, he's lost a step or two. Like, he just doesn't have the edge that he did. I still love his stuff, but I mean, this is like masterpiece level, some of the stuff that he did in an early heyday. And I really like, actually, Dark Knight too. A lot of people give it flack as like, oh, it's not as good as Dark Knight Returns, but it's like, of course, nothing's going to be as good as that. But I really enjoyed. You'll probably hate it, Bats, because
you don't know. Like
you'll probably
I
hate
like
it.
a lot of stuff that people hate.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
you hate stuff that I like, and I love Dark Knight too.
what do I hate that you like?
What do you hate that I like? Wait, what?
Yeah, like. Wow,
Well,
dude,
okay, you're gonna.
I'm
I just
I'm
predict you're not
so
gonna like it because of the Superman and Wonder Woman renditions.
no. I
The way,
flipped through it. I think the art is atrocious, but
dude,
I'm.
Frank Miller is one of the best sequential artists ever to live.
Oh my gosh! Look at that, dude. I'm flipping through this Elektra right now. This book is beautiful. I'm gonna reread this like soon. I'm gonna actually reread this and do a review on this
Yeah, it's
like
Frank Miller art.
this week. Wow, this book is so. It's by Epic Comics.
Epic was Marvel imprint.
Okay.
Epic was essentially Marvel's adult. It's like Marvel's Vertigo.
Yeah. No.
Back in
Yeah.
the 80s.
I've seen Matt Murdock in his chonies here.
Oh, one final thing of note here too, of Miller is this Chris Claremont collaboration he did. This little known character called Wolverine. A lot of people, even though Chris Claremont is credited on the book as the writer, most consensus is that this was a collaboration and Miller co-wrote it. And as someone who's a fan of both, when I read this book, I believe that to be the case. I believe that Miller wrote the story, but Chris Claremont actually just did the script. So that's another one too if you're a Miller fan. But let's get out of this. The big topic, the big segment that we were going to do, every week we wanted to do this reading club thing that you guys can be a part of. And this is the part where we kind of get to it. And the way that it works is kind of like a book club where we're going to pick a comic or a trade paperback or something of that nature to all of us like read during the week. And then the following show, we'll talk about it, like what we thought about it, whether it was worth reading, things like that. The idea is to pick things that we haven't read. Obviously, I can't pick for you guys like stuff you haven't read, but for ideas like me and Bats to explore new things. And then we'll talk about it. And so we don't have anything being the first show to talk about, but we did settle up on a book that we want to do to start. And then we'll consult with you guys next week on kind of what we want to do. So be thinking about that. You guys can tweet at us suggestions.
Maybe we should try to find a book in this episode. That way, in the second episode, we're not floating. So I'm recommending Electra Lives Again because I have it and it's available probably on Comixology.
I don't want to do Electra Lives Again because that's a story that is built upon a much bigger story. It's not come in dry like, hey, I don't know anything about Elektra or Daredevil, I'm just gonna read this story. Like, there's this whole, I mean, Frank Miller's whole run on Daredevil back in the day, what he invented Elektra, brought her into the story, developed this love story between Matt Murdock and her, and then killed her. And it was like one of the biggest things that happened in Marvel Comics, you know, like death of Gwen Stacy or whatever, like, was the death of Elektra. You're like, oh, did not expect that. And he wanted her to stay dead. And Marvel, of course, you know, the popularity of the character, nope, we bring her back. So,
how about Ronin then?
Well, Ronin's meaty though. Like, I don't, honestly, I'm too backlogged. I can't read a dense book like that.
Okay.
We haven't even got to this week's book, Mr. Jump the Gun. So Bats, announce it.
Robin Year One by Chuck Dixon and Scott Beatty.
So I've never read Robin book. I am willing to be sold on this idea that Robin can be a good character. Chuck Dixon is a legendary comics writer. And Bats swears to me that this is something worth reading. So we decided to go with this for the first week. We wanted to pick something that was accessible. And for anyone that does not have Robin, you can get it on Comixology cheap because they're doing a big sale right now. I picked mine up for like $5 for the trade. They're doing a Young Justice tie-in sale. So that is something if you want to participate. And then every week we're going to try to pick something and basically facilitate discussion, something to talk about, and get some feedback from you guys. So that's what we're going to do. Thanks for all the flushing sounds, buddy. Mute your mic. Nothing but professionalism here. Nothing. So this is getting near the show wrap up. We didn't go as far over time as I expected. You guys have been pretty big champs hanging out in the audience. Melissa, you are a comment queen. You have given us a lot to talk about. The Wolverine run from that would be pretty good. I want to try to find kind of like gems, stuff to discover. It's easy to always like pick classics, you know, but the problem with classics is that everyone's really read them. And it's a little bit more challenging to get people to want to reread things that they've read, even though it might be a classic. In my particular case, I'm so backlogged on comics, and I'm trying to like catch up and learn about DC, and I'm trying to go through the Rebirth stuff. I'm trying to do basically say this is my jumping on point is Rebirth, so I'm trying to get the stories from that point on, and then I just get fans like you guys to fill me in on all the stuff that I missed. So
what you're saying is you don't want to read Nightfall.
Yes, I've read Nightfall, and I do not want to go back and reread it.
What about No Man's Land?
I've never read that.
It's one of those 6 graphic novel freaking giant stories.
Yeah, I don't want to do any big giant stories, and I don't want to task the audience to be like, hey, read this 300-page thing that you may or may not. I want people to find it more accessible. I mean, even if it's like a single comic, we might be able to that. I don't know if we're biting off more than we can chew, I guess. So I don't want to jump in the deep end before we know we can swim.
So I have 7 days to reread Robin Year One. That's the plan.
Right. So this week we're going to do Robin Year One, and next week we're going to talk about it, and I will explain why it sucks and Bats is wrong. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure I'll like it. Chuck Dixon's a good writer, but I'm looking forward to this. I picked it, right? Like, I was higher on my list of picks than your pick.
Yeah, I wanted you to read Bendis Daredevil.
Yeah.
Just because it's Bendis and you're so obsessed with Frank Miller Daredevil. I want, the Faye, a.k.a. CQ, a.k.a. Comics Court's favorite writer, to essentially ruin one of your favorite characters for you.
Yeah. Melissa's making a comment about Gotham adapting No Man's Land in Year Zero for its final season.
I saw that in the trailer, and I was like, man, they are really, really obsessed with this storyline, so much that they did it in Dark Knight Rises. Now they're doing it in Gotham, and it's like, hey, can we just get like an animated, freaking No Man's Land, even like a No Man's trilogy? That would be sweet.
Yeah, that could be in the pipeline. DC seems to be pretty big on doing their animated movies. It just takes a while to produce them all. I would not be surprised if that is, something down the road. I have a problem with Gotham. I want to be honest with you right now. Like, I think I'm in the middle of like season 3. I started watching this, and it's interesting. I love the concept of like, hey, let's have a cop show in the mythical city of Gotham, before the years of Batman, where Commissioner Gordon is a young cop and all that stuff. I was like, oh, great. Cop shows work well on TV, and rather than it just be a stereotypical, just, oh, hey, there's some cops on the beat in New York or whatever. It's like cops in Gotham. Okay. And I like the idea that you're starting to see like, oh, this idea, like these criminals that would be, Batman's rogue gallery, you kind of get to see the beginnings of them. And I was like, that's really cool. But the problem I'm having as I'm getting into this show is they're delving more and more into trying to make it like a Batman show, but without Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you can't do this. And then I'm like, last year, the big controversy when they showed like the Bane costume and stuff. And I'm like, Bane doesn't exist without Batman. The whole purpose of Bane is because he discovers that Batman exists and that he has to crush Batman. Without Batman, there's no purpose for Bane to ever come to Gotham. It doesn't make any sense. And then like they're introducing Joker, and I'm like, Joker's in a similar fashion, but with a different motive.
Penguin, Riddler, Scarecrow, Catwoman.
Well,
Poison
Penguin
Ivy.
kind of makes sense because his motive is to like be a mobster, essentially, right? He's a criminal, but particularly Joker, and even more so Bane. Those characters are anti-Batman. Like, their purpose is to, like, Penguin doesn't care if Batman's around. Penguin's like, I just want to like rule the city. Like, these guys are just criminals. So like their existence without Batman makes sense until Batman shows up and says, I'm going to clean house. But to put in characters that don't exist until after Batman creates their existence from his own existence bothers me. Like, I'm just like, why are you doing this?
See, what's really funny is I used to joke about, this show came out in 2013, I believe. And I used to joke, would say, well, if Smallville can go 10 years, and that's a show based after Superman, a show like Gotham about young Bruce Wayne, which is pretending it's a Batman show, can go 20 years, so then the kid will be old enough to be Batman in the last season.
I suppose if you went that long,
right?
the way
It was just like me being jovial. Like,
sure,
oh,
sure.
Smallville went on for 10 years. Batman is 2 times more popular than Superman, if not more, which means Gotham could go on for 20 years.
It's a popular
Oh,
show. Everyone that I know that watches the show loves it, and like season 5 or whatever the season is that they're on, the new season coming out, people are like, "Oh yeah, really," it's like it's a really well received show. I'm just, as a comic book fan, I'm just expressing my personal
and
problems
me,
with the show,
as
and I really wish. Hold on, let me finish. I really wish that they would respect the material more instead of just being like, well, we're gonna do this Batman-less show. Why not do, like, I heard that they're doing a spin-off show where it's just Alfred, and
that's not happening.
did it get canceled?
It's not happening.
I don't know.
You heard about a Ryan Johnson trilogy? You heard about an Alfred show? These are just things that get leaked and they don't exist.
Well, Ryan Johnson trilogy didn't get leaked. It was announced by Lucasfilm. The Alfred thing, I admit I'm not really that knowledgeable on, because I'm not that deep into the whole thing. But I did hear about this Alfred thing, and I was like, why would you even consider this? Just tell your Gotham story. Okay, let's say 5 seasons, you're done. Then if you want to like do the whole like have Bane and like do Batman, like, okay, the kid's not really old, just fast forward, right? Because you can bring adults into the storyline. Like you got the Penguin, that actor. If you say, okay, fast forward 7 years, and now you that actor can play himself 7 years older, right? The Gordon character can play himself 7 years older. Adults don't really age the way kids do. The kid has the problem, so you just replace him with an adult actor. Now Batman's on the scene, and now you have Batman show that's a sequel to Gotham. But instead, they just want to do a Batman-less Batman show, and I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I mean, they did the same thing with Smallville.
Well, I guess, but Smallville had Superman.
No, they had a guy who looked and acted and talked like Superman, but he was never in the Superman costume.
Okay, but my point was Clark Kent, Kal-El is in the show. It was not like, hey, this is Smallville and Clark Kent exists in the world, but he's still like 12 years old. Like, he was an active participant in the show as Superboy, essentially, right? The old school young.
Yeah, there was like times where I like cringed, where they were saying like him and Aquaman would team up, and there's time where I was just like, I can't take this anymore. There's too many hit like elbow nudges, like
Right.
where they're like Aquaman would show up and they'd have like a water episode where Clark's got to fight this water monster and they got to save this kid from drowning in a water monster or whatever, and then Arthur would be like, we got to like create like a team, like a league or something, and then Clark would be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for the JLA. And Arthur would be like, what? He's like, the Junior Lifeguard Association. Like, stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Like
at least to the credit, like, Smallville did not have the way paved for it. That was still kind of pushing the envelope of like superhero in TV, where they tried to walk this line of like, no, we're really not a dorky comic book show. This is a more straightforward normie show that we're going to have a little bit of comic stuff for the nerds. But, like, back in the day when they didn't want to like commit to the bit, Hollywood is like, comics are still for dorks. Let's try to normalize them. That's why they have like X-Men running around in like black leather suits, because they're like, we don't want to put them in costumes because the audiences won't, like it. And nowadays it's like, okay, comics are fully accepted. You can go hog wild, and audiences are in. So there's no having to like hedge your bets anymore. So that's why I'm like less forgiving of shows like Gotham, because Smallville was still, it didn't have that opening.
Yeah. It wasn't quite there yet.
No. But and it's kind of a shame, because why are we not getting better superhero TV shows? Obviously there's an audience for it, right? CW is doing quite a few. I mean, they seem to be adapting comic book show after comic. I mean, pretty soon CW is just going to be the DC channel. I feel like it just seems like they're constantly getting new shows that are DC characters.
DCW.
And they're getting all the C-list characters because Warner Brothers presumably wants to save all their A-list characters for movies. So they're kind of doing like the whole, like the way Marvel did, where it's like, oh, Netflix, you can have, Iron Fist and, Power Man and all these like characters we don't ever want to make movies with. But our big guys are going to be in the movies. I feel like they're doing the same thing and showing like, hey, even these C-list characters people will want to see. So why not just do a Batman show? Like, let's do a Superman show.
There's still some rights problem with that. So Fox still owns the Batman rights to the TV show. That's why Gotham will never become a Batman show. It's a Batman list show, because Fox still owns the movie or the television rights to Batman.
How is that possible?
It's crazy. Like,
when was the last time there was a Batman TV show?
66 to 68. But Fox still owns the rights to television Batman. That's why.
But Fox has never even done a television Batman.
Fox did the 66 Batman show.
No, Fox TV did not exist back then.
I know, but like, it was like ABC, but Fox like bought the rights to it. To like all the properties there.
Sure, okay. I mean, that makes sense. Like, you transfer the rights. But what I'm saying is, usually, in the typical way things happen, is you buy the rights, and then you have X amount of time with those rights before they revert back to the owner. And
those types of contracts didn't exist back then. So they have the endless contract.
That seems really weird and fishy.
It is weird and fishy, but here.
But here's another problem. Right? Disney owns Fox.
Yeah.
So Marvel is owned by Disney. So Fox or Batman is now a Marvel property? Not really a Marvel property, but
I just sent you a picture behind the scenes. If you want to pop that on screen, you can see what I'm talking about. So it says DC on there, but it also says Fox. It also has the Warner Brothers logo. So it's like, it's total batshit, pun intended.
Interesting. All right, well, that's too bad.
So Gotham could become a Batman show if they wanted to, but they can't, because Warner Brothers owns the rights to Batman. So it's like, Warner Brothers owns the rights to Batman,
Not Warner, you mean Fox?
No. Warner Brothers owns the rights to Batman, but Fox owns the TV rights to Batman. But they can't make a TV Batman without Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers can't make a TV Batman without Fox. So they're caught in this, like, you know, the unmovable object with they're in that situation. That's why in the Teen Titans or the Titans, DC app thing, they show Batman as a cape blur slash pointy ear cape blur, but they never just be like, hey, here's Batman, here's a dude in tights with the bat symbol. Nope.
Wow. I don't know much. I don't really know much about that. That seems really strange.
Yeah, so it's like, what is it? The immovable object with the unstoppable force. It's they TV Batman will never exist until those two companies can come to an agreement. Now that DC or Fox is owned by Disney, it may never ever happen.
Wow. Wow, that's too bad. I just find it funny that we could be seeing Batman shows streamed on Disney service next to Marvel stuff. Melissa says that if Disney buys Fox, they'll own the TV rights to Batman. That's correct. As far as I know, that went through. Or it's in the process. Like it's all but done, essentially. Have you heard anything different?
All I know is that the guys who created the Gotham TV show had said that whether the show gets canceled, in the second season or the 20th season, the show ends with Bruce putting on the cowl. So, and it's it's the same ending as Smallville. Essentially, is Smallville ended with dun 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 dun, dun ended
Right.
with the John Williams pickup, and it was Tom Welling ripping his shirt open as he ran towards the camera, and as the shirt opened, it was the big S, and then the camera panned, and then you saw a red streak in the sky.
Nice.
And that was the end of Smallville.
Melissa says, if Disney buys Fox, will Adult Swim lose its Fox shows?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know who owns Adult Swim.
It's owned by Warner Brothers. Cartoon Network is all owned by Warner Brothers.
So how does it have Fox shows?
Contract deals. So basically, they would lose Family Guy and American Dad.
Well,
and Futurama and stuff.
I don't see why that would be, because Disney is just buying Fox. So basically, whatever Fox has the rights to, Disney keeps.
But Warner Brothers owns Cartoon Network.
Right, but if Warner Brothers purchased the rights from Fox to, say, put out Family Guy episodes, that stays intact. Just because Fox gets sold, the new owner, still maintains that agreement. Does that make sense?
I'm sure the contract is Cartoon Network may release, syndicate Family Guy until 20XX, and then until that contract ends, it's gonna keep doing that.
All right. Well, this stream has been a long one. We went way overboard, Bats.
I blame you.
I'll take the blame. It's my fault. But next week we gotta tighten this sucker up.
I agree.
Melissa is a trooper, and she'll hang out. But we need more than just Melissa.
Is she the only one here now?
I don't know. She's the only one commenting.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm looking at the comments now.
So, and I don't want to make light of Melissa in any way. I really appreciate her being here. I would feel sad if we didn't have that hardcore supporter. But in any case, we should tighten up the show. We'll talk more behind the scenes, but I think this is a really good time to wrap things up, and just not overstay our welcome, so to speak.
For sure.
So it's been a good show. It's been great talking to you and everyone else in the chat. Thank you for coming along. If you're someone who's listening in on a recorded session, thank you for bearing with us for almost 3 hours. Jeez Louise. Yeah. So we gotta tighten that up to less than 2 hours. I like the idea of doing an after show. Like if we'd like to do an hour and a half live stream, get our stuff focused, tight, and then afterwards we can say, okay, wrap it up, and then restart the stream and just BS until people want to, it won't have to be recorded. Just be that way we can go off topic and still have a nice tight recorded show that people will want it, because no one wants to come back to a 3-hour stream and like watch it after the fact.
Yeah. You could do the England team thing and cut up bits and make them videos.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra work, which I'm already having trouble like reading comics, publishing stuff. It's like I spend so much time. This YouTube stuff is time consuming.
And you live on Twitter.
I don't live on Twitter. Twitter you can do while you're editing videos, right? Like while you're waiting for something to render, you can spend. But yeah,
I have my Twitter feed is like, it's always like Ash commented on this and Ash commented on that, and I'm like, how do you find the time in all this damn freaking Twitter?
Because I have no life.
Me, I'm like at work. I'm like, I'm gonna use the bathroom, and I like go take a piss, and I'm like, I'm taking a piss, and I'm like looking at Twitter, and it's like you're over here having a battle about like, culture, and like it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, how do you got all the time to battle these dudes? I'm over here trying to work.
All right. We just lost energy at the end, buddy.
We did.
We'll be better next week.
Better, twice as better.
Yeah. You didn't listen to the previous shows, did you?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I got a full-time job and I gotta make YouTube videos.
See,
It's
important. It's important to listen to your material so you can hear yourself the way other people hear you.
Oh.
It helps a lot, honestly. I think. I mean,
No, yeah, but Zach puts out like 3 videos a day.
I don't watch every Zach video anymore.
I do.
I used to be big time, like everything that Zach did, but now I don't watch when he publishes videos about like some third party, like sort of, some weird strange indie book, and I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care about some SJW indie book. Like, I just want to know about the mainstream books, and I want to know about regular topics if he's talking about the industry, like. And he's gotten soft, like
he did get soft.
He got really soft. He liked Goddess Mode. He liked
Riri.
Aquaman, and he liked Riri. He liked Wonder Woman. He liked, I think, every single thing like we were worried about like coming out. He's like, yeah, it was good. I was like, what? So.
But he's also been roasted by me and 90,000 other people being like, bro, just because it's not fucking terrible doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think he's just trying to be more diplomatic
I
because
think
now
that's what it is.
he's trying to produce content. Um, I I don't like that. Like, I get where you're coming from, but it's like shit or get off the pot. You know, like what made him great was his cutting comments. Like he got to the nitty gritty of the problem and did it in like a really interesting way without being like a salty, bitter old dude. You know, like it was fun.
I mean, I shamelessly plug my channel on his comments, and I even say like, "Oh, you were much nicer than I was on my review."
Yeah. All right.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
I even put in parentheses shameless plug begin and then shameless plug end.
Yeah.
Because I want people to be like, I'm aware of it. Yeah, I'm joking, but also not joking at the same time.
All right, Zach. Zach. I can't even keep straight.
You just call me Zach.
I know. I was thinking about Zach, and it's Freudian slip. Bats, we got to really end this. Find a way. We got to start thinking of ways to not run into these problems that we're doing. Melissa, thank you so much again for being with us. Anyone else that's still out there listening to us probably fell asleep because these wee hours of the night. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 10 o'clock, right, Bats?
Yes, sir.
All right, so thanks for watching. Bats, stay on, and see you next week.
Catch you guys next one.
Right on.